So hey guys, how are you all? Welcome to. So we are back with a brand new movie on what if Naruto and Kim have a family and became savior, but before we start, be sure to subscribe to our channel and like this video. Now let's begin the story. High school student and teenage crime fighter Kim Possible was just walking down the hall until she saw her two best friends. First was Ron Stoppable, who she knew since pre-K. Ron was never really popular at school as Kim was. She was popular, beautiful, and the head cheerleader of their high school, while Ron was just a regular unpopular guy. Then there was Naruto. Naruto was a transfer student from Japan. His mother was Japanese while his father had American blood. Which very understandable since most Japanese people don't have blonde hair. Naruto came into Kim and Ron's lives in the 5th grade and they became friends ever since. Naruto's usual wear is not like the one he wears in the anime. He is wearing an orange hoodie with reed spiral on the back, a pair of jeans, 2 orange wristbands with the same spirals on it, and black boots. As Kim came up to Naruto and Ron at Ron's locker, she was seeing that Ron was looking for something. "Hey Ron." "Hey Naruto," Kim said. "Hey KP," Naruto replied. "Not right now Kim, I'm a little busy right now," Ron said, then went back to his locker searching. "Need I to ask?" Kim asked. "Rufus got lost in Ron's locker again," Naruto said. "Yeah, on Spirit Week. If he missed it, he would be crushed," Ron said. "Or by the amount of stuff you put in your locker," Naruto said with a deadpan look on his face. "I mean, seriously, Ron, how many times do we have to tell to clean out the junk in your locker? It's no wonder Rufus gets lost in there." Then all of the junk in Ron's locker fell out. Ron checked to see if Rufus was buried underneath it, but he was wrong. Rufus was underneath his shirt this whole time and he crawled into Ron's pocket. Ron was tickled by what Rufus was doing in there and he got Rufus out his pocket. As it turns out, Rufus is really a little naked mole rat. Ron held Rufus on the palm of his hand, and the little guy stretched his arms and let out a big yawn. "A naked mole rat," Kim said. "Ron ever consider on getting a real pet, like a cat or a dog?" After hearing that, Rufus gave a raspberry to Kim. Naruto leaned over to Kim with a smirk on his face and said, "Keep telling him that Kim, but he's gonna never listens." "Hey, my motto is, never be normal. Besides, like you're one to talk, Naruto," Ron said while pointing at Naruto. "Your pet is not so normal either." "Hey, a fox can be a pet and it fits my status quite well. Foxes are clever, sneaky, unpredictable and fierce, like myself," Naruto said proudly. "Right Kim?" As he elbowed her arm, but she didn't respond and had a big goofy grin on her face. "Kim? KP? Kimmy?" Ron said while waving his hand in front of the redhead's face, but the expression is still there. This seems serious since she hates being called that last nickname. "Kim, are you okay?" Naruto asked with some concern in his voice. They then looked where Kim was looking at and there was her crush, Josh Mankey, who was putting up a poster. "Josh Mankey, of course," Naruto said with sly smirk on his face while Ron had a frown on his face. He did not hate Josh personally, it's his last name reminds him of the scariest thing that he is afraid of, monkeys. Naruto then elbowed Kim harder, finally getting her back to reality. He leaned into her and whispered, "What are you waiting for, Tiger? Ask him out before he gets away." Again. Kim glared at him for that Ogun remark, then went right over to where Josh is. Josh was very preoccupied with his poster, but he was sort of known that someone was behind him. "Hey, what does this say to you?" "Oh, well, it's well, you know, totally, Kim babbling, clearly unable to reply to her crush. Seeing this was funny and sad to Naruto. In response he face-palmed himself, seeing how humiliating this for Kim. "Hey, I know you," Josh said while looking at Kim. "Why you do?" she said shyly. "Yeah, you're Kim Possible, right? I saw you on the news last night. You saved that ambassador from being kidnapped last week," Josh said. "Well, yeah, it was no big really, that was cool." "Yeah, thanks," she said while giggling, then sees Josh has already left. "Oh, bye." After that she groaned because of her shyness and she repeatedly banged her head lightly on the soda machine. Naruto, Ron and Rufus were seeing this. "Did you two find that humiliating? 'Cause I know I sure do," Naruto said to Ron and Rufus. "Uh-huh," Rufus said. "Oh, yeah, really humiliating, and I'm like the king of humiliation," Ron said. Naruto snickered. "You got that right," he said. "Yeah and, hey," Ron said. After class the trio met up and began talking again, mostly about how Kim failed yet again to talk to Josh. Naruto found it a little funny but did not want to show it in front of his friend. "I can't even form a simple sentence around Josh," Kim groaned. "I mean, How am I going to ask him to Friday's homecoming dance if I can't even talk to him? Naruto laughed a bit. No kidding, I mean you can wrestle a shark with your bare hands, and you can't even ask just one guy to a dance. Kim just gave him a deadpan look. Okay look Kim, if you feel awkward about this whole Josh thing, why don't I go to the dance with you? I mean you've done it before with me and Ron, and we can still have fun without you getting nervous, Naruto said. Kim gave him a warm smile. Thanks Naruto, that's sweet, but the whole school already knows we're just friends, and I kinda want to go to the dance with a real date for a change. The times I went with you too was because it was a friend date. I can do that, too, Ron said. I can try and find my own date to the dance too. Great. What about you Naruto? Kim asked. I have some plans already back home, but if you need a backup date, Kim, just let me know, Naruto said. But here's a piece of advice, you're going to have to ask him out eventually or otherwise he's going to say yes to somebody else. Although, I heard that Josh has been playing hard to get lately around this year's Spirit Week. Kim raised an eyebrow. Really, why? She asked. Naruto just shrugged. Who knows, maybe he's waiting for a certain someone to ask him herself. Maybe a Ms. Save the world on a daily basis. Naruto teased causing Kim to blush and lightly slap his arm and heard the communicator beeped. Talk to us, Wade, Kim said. Meet me by your locker, Wade said. The trio meet up at Kim's locker, she unlocked which revealed their friend Wade on hidden computer monitor. You guys won't believe how many hits the website has been getting. Everyone wants your help, Wade explained. As Naruto was reading it, he had a displeased look on his face. Ah, man. Mrs. Gilmore wants us to watch and feed her cats for a week again. 7 days, 8 cats, Kim said in disgust. 1 litter box. This job is no picnic for me either. Those cats are vicious, Naruto said. You know KP, I know you'd promise these people you'd do anything for them on our website, but you'd have to draw the line, Ron said. As he continues reading he found something. Hey, there's something going on in Tokyo. That one is an emergency, I'll show you the security footage, Wade says. The monitor then shows them footage of a blue-skinned man with scar on his face swinging down from a helicopter and punching the camera. Dr. Draken, Kim said, your arch nemesis, Ron said. Don't you mean our arch nemesis? Kim said confused. Nah, just yours, I mean every time we fight him and his lackeys, he always says, curse you Kim Possible, you think you're all that but you're not, Naruto said with a dead-on Draken impression, which made his friends snicker a bit. Plus, I don't think he even knows my name, Ron mentioned. Come on, boys. Let's jet, Kim said after she closed her locker. All right. Going to Tokyo on a school night, Ron said while doing a victory dance. And how do you suppose how we're going to get to Japan? Naruto asked with a raised eyebrow. Don't worry, I'll phone a friend, Kim said. Is it anything like the time we traveled to London on that tuna boat? Naruto said with a deadpan look on his face. I mean after we came back home, I smelled like dead fish for a week. I though you love fish? Ron said. Yeah, but I don't want to smell like one, Naruto said. Don't worry, this time we are going across seas in style, Kim said. This had Naruto smile and sigh in relief. Kim was right about her ride, they were on the private jet of famous celebrity Bertina. You were right, KP, now this traveling in style, Ron said while relaxing in his chair while wearing sunglasses. Rufus nodded. Yep, agreed, stoppable, this the best way to travel. Thanks a lot hooking up with this KP, Naruto said. Don't thank me Naruto, thank Bertina for offering us a ride to Tokyo, Kim said. Kim, duh, Bertina exclaimed. It's the least I can do after you and your friends saved my Chicago show. What, you mean that little stage fire? Naruto said in a flattered yet cocky tone. Yeah, it was no big, Kim said waving it off the praise. For you, maybe, Bertina said, it must be so awesome to not be afraid of anything. Kim shrugged. Naruto then had sly smile on his face. Fearless. Please, there's this guy that Kim likes and he always has her shaking in her boots when she tries to talk to him, Naruto said teasing Kim. Kim blushed in embarrassment and lightly punched Naruto's arm. Naruto, she groaned. What? It's true isn't it? Naruto said with the same smile. Ooh, crush story. She teased. I just feel so ridiculous around him, Kim said all embarrassed. Not to mention always having that goofy love-struck expression on your face every time you see him, Naruto said. Kim just glared at him. Anyways Bertina, you gone out with a lot of guys, right? Like yeah, why? She answered. Any advice you can give to our favorite world savior here? Naruto said pointing at Kim. I mean, If I can't get through that tough skull of hers about her crush dilemma, I figure another world-famous celebrity can. Well, I say she should just go for it, Bertina said. I mean, Kim, what's the worst that could happen? Kim just slouched in her seat. That's what I've been trying to tell you, Kim, Naruto said. You should go on and make a move. And what was that your dad always says, anything's possible for a possible. Look, I really do appreciate you two helping me, I really do, but I just don't know, Kim said in a shy tone. See what I mean, Brit? Naruto, he said. Criminals she can deal with, boys are another story. The pop star giggled at that remark. Kim just gave him another glare, but he just shrugged. So Bertina, as a pop superstar I bet you miss a lot school stuff like school dances with normal guys, right? Ron asked. True. Friday, school dance, you and me? Ron asked. No, Ron had a frown on his face after the rejection. Kim just shook her head, but Naruto had a smirk on his face. You gotta try better than that the next time, Ron, Naruto said. They soon arrived at Tokyo and at the building Draken broke into. It still had helicopters hovering around it. Japan. Man, this really takes me back, Naruto said in chill tone after taking a deep breath of his homeland's air. There they are, Kim said. She and her partners then walked up to a small and old Japanese man with a tall and beautiful woman. Thank you for coming, Kim. Possible, Naruto-san, Ron-san. I am Yoshiko, translator for Nakasumi-san. So, what's the sitch? Kim asked. They have taken the entire factory and our workers hostage, Yoshiko informed. How many does he have hostage? Kim asked. 2, she answered. 2, what? 100,000? Naruto asked. No, just 2. This is the most state-of-the-art automated factory in the world. They snuck around the back. Both Naruto and Kim fired their grappling hooks onto the roof and the two managed to climb all the way up to the top. Ron tried to fire his grappling hook next, but instead of hooking Ron to the roof like his two best friends, it instead flew off with his pants showing his blue polka dot boxers. Ron groaned. Ron, stop messing around. Kim scolded. Okay, I am going to do it this time, he said in a determined voice. But he spoke too soon and this time his shirt flew off of him. Oh, come on, are you kidding me? Ron, I do love a good laugh once in a while, Naruto said in an irritated tone. But even I know this isn't funny. Third time's the charm, Ron said while pantsless and shirtless. All three of them made to the ceiling looking down from the skylight and they see Draken walking in place impatiently while his workers were trying to take some of the factory's machines apart. Why does Draken want to rob a video game factory? Kim asked as she gets out her laser lipstick. Well, duh KP. Do you know what this factory makes? Ron asked. Video games. She answered. The Z-Boy. The Z-Boy? You mean that little cartoon character Nakasumi uses for his Z-Boy video game? Naruto replied. Not just a video game, Naruto. The video game that has the fastest graphic system in the world, Ron said. So, it's just a video game, Kim said. She has a point, Ron. How can Japanese video games help Draken in any way in his world domination scheme? Naruto asked. The Z-Boy doesn't come out until Christmas in America, Ron said. It's the must-have gift of the holiday season. Ron gasped and said. Draken is gonna steal Christmas. Naruto and Kim just gave him a deadpan look. Right? Naruto said sarcastically. Ron, I think Draken wants to take over the world, Kim said. As they got inside the factory, Naruto was beginning to get annoyed with his two best friends arguing. Ron keeps saying Draken is going to steal Christmas while Kim thinks he's trying to take over the world. As it was going on and on, Naruto decided to stop them so they won't get caught. Enough, he said to the two of them. Look, I don't want to find out what Draken is going to do for next stage of his master plan. All I do know is that he has to be stopped and we have some hostages to save. Kim and Ron looked at each other and nodded in agreement, knowing Naruto is right and that they have to stop Draken. You're right, Naruto. As a reward, this time I'm gonna let you think of the plan, Kim said with a smirk on her face, in turn caused Naruto to have on his face. Alright, first we need to find the hostages without being seen, Naruto explained. Kim used her makeup mirror and found them tied up. I see them, Kim said. Then she gasped on she saw next on her mirror. Oh, no. What? What's wrong, KP? Ron asked, in turn causing Naruto to look at Kim with concern. I thought I saw a zit. False alarm, she said. This caused Naruto to facepalm himself and said. Really? He said sarcastically. I mean, right now? Sorry, go on, Kim said. Anyways, Kim, you and I will free hostages. Ron, take this. He then gave Ron his communicator. Upload a video on the monitor. Okay. Wait a second, are saying I'm the... Ron said, before interrupted. The distraction. Naruto finished. Yes, you are. As he and Kim head to the hostages, Ron groaned and said. Why am I always the distraction? He asked to himself. On to Draken and his henchmen. The machines of the automated factory were continuing building disc-like devices on a conveyor belts while the Z-Boy cartoon character continues popping saying konnichiwa, the Japanese word for hello. Draken did not like the cartoon at all, but unfortunately for him, the two workers he have hostage don't know how to turn it off. Dr. Draken. Shigo came up from behind him, tapping his shoulder causing to jump in surprise. Shigo. How many times have I told you not to sneak up on me? Draken said in an irritated tone. She scoffed. Sneaking. I wasn't sneaking. Ninjas make more noise than you, Shigo. Quit it. Draken said, obviously not buying it. Then they hear a voice, Ron's voice, and sees Rufus on the screen with Ron's hand moving his mouth. What's up, people? It's Naked Mole Rat TV on the air. I know that voice. Draken said. Shigo merely rolled her eyes and said, it's Kim Possible's dopey sidekick. I can never remember his name. Draken said. While Ron had them distracted, Naruto and Kim got behind the machine where hostages are from the other side. Naruto told Kim she will free the hostages while head to higher grounds of the building so he can watch both her and Ron while talking through the communicator. While Kim cut the hostages free with her laser lipstick, Ron continues to distract Draken and his minions. But soon these are getting bad for Ron when Draken found the wire where it led from the monitor to Ron's communicator. Draken signaled one of his henchmen to get on one of the forklifts and drove at him. Ron, look out, Naruto warned Ron, but he was too late and Ron was stuck to wall by the forklift. Ron, Kim said in concern. She was then spotted by Draken, Shigo, and Draken's henchmen after they heard her voice. Naruto then had to come down where Kim is. Kim Possible and the infamous Naruto Uzumaki. You two have some nerve if you think you two can thwart my plan, Draken said until Shigo interrupted. She groaned. Don't tell them the plan. Don't you think I can handle this, Shigo? Yeah, she said sarcastically. All I know is that every time you do your usual evil blah blah speech, they win. What can we say? We are just that good, Naruto said all cocky. Is that so? Draken said in a sly tone. Draken then pressed a button and two drill-like claws came down and attached themselves to the machine that makes the electronics. Naruto and Kim managed to jump off of it in time. But soon Draken's henchmen were attaching hooks with chains to the machine and their helicopter was lifting it off of the ground. Draken, Shigo and the Draken's men hopped on the machine as they make their getaway. Naruto and Kim both had glared at Draken as he makes his escape while he laughs evilly. After they left, Naruto had to ask Kim a good question. KP. How come all the crazed supervillains always get the cool getaway stuff? I don't know, Naruto, you're asking the wrong girl, Kim replied. So do we have our own getaway copter? Ron asked. Kim just sighed while Naruto just did a fake thinking pose. Yay no, he replied. On the next morning, Kim was having breakfast with her dad, who was reading the newspaper about her last confrontation with Draken in Tokyo. I can't believe it. That Dr. Draken fellow stole entire factory, James said while reading the paper out loud. 2 hostages were saved by international teen heroes, Team Possible, led by the world-famous Kim Possible. Nice work, honey. Well, yeah, except for the part where Draken got away, Kim said. Not to mention I have no idea about what his next move is. Plus then there's the whole Josh thing. Josh? Another mad scientist bent on world conquest? James questioned. So not, Dad. Josh is this cute guy, the first one to take to the homecoming dance, Kim said. Don't usually go with your friends to those type of school functions together? Yeah, but we agreed to get our own dates to the dance this year. Although Ron agreed, Naruto said that he decided not to come this year. He said that he already has plans Friday. Kim explained. I say you should go with Naruto if you're having problems asking this Josh fellow. I can tell he likes you, James said. Dad. Kim groaned with blush on her face. Naruto's just a friend and I prefer it that way. But Josh, he's a hottie. Her dad then cleared his throat and tried to change the subject. I think you shouldn't give up without a fight. With Draken, I mean. I think you should get back on this case with your team. Draken wants to take over the world. And no more talking about hotties at breakfast anymore, okay? Who's a hottie? Said Kim Mother Ann Possible, who just came in pouring her cup of coffee. We are not talking about it. James warned. Kim ignored her dad and said, Josh Mankey. Then she sighed after she mentioned his name. Ooh, Kim's got a boyfriend. Kim's got a boyfriend, her two little twin brothers Jim and Tim said at the same time. Don't make me hurt you two. Kim warned them. You two sit down and eat your cereal. Anne told her two boys. They sat down and began eating their cereal. So, this Josh, is he cute? Anne asked. Kim nodded. Like Naruto cute? Kim blushed after she mentioned Naruto into this conversation. Mom. Kim groaned. Oh, come on, honey, Naruto is adorable and he's really sweet. You've gone with him to the dance before, right? First of all, Mom, Josh is golden. Kim said. Secondly, me and Naruto are just friends. I told Dad this already. Those other times were just friend dates. What about this Josh? Anne asked. He's just so cool, smart, really talented and kinda quiet. She then heard Tim burped. She glared at him and said, "Excuse you." As her brother stopped slurping his bowl loudly, he said, "You want to know what I think?" "No," she replied. "Send an anonymous email," Tim said. "I can't do that." Kim said. "Yes you can, you rerouted through Sweden or someplace and it can't be traced," Jim explained. Your principal has been getting a lot of anonymous emails from Sweden," James said with a raised eyebrow at the two boys. Look at the time, gotta go," the twins said before running off. Anne tries comfort Kim's boy trouble by placing her hand on her shoulder. Asking out a boy is like diving into a really cold pool. You just have to take a deep breath and take the plunge. Team Possible's day at school begins with Kim walking with her two best friends. She walked up to the poster about the dance, then turned to her friends with a determined look. "Before this day is over, I am going to ask Josh to the dance," Kim said in a determined voice. Naruto scoffed. "Yeah, good luck with that." Kim just gave him a glare. "And I'm going to ask," Ron began to think, "somebody." "You do realize your chances are seriously high, right?" Naruto said with a smirk on his face. "Flexibility is the key, Naruto," Ron said, acting all cocky. "Wish me luck, not that I need it." Ron then left to ask a girl to the dance. "Right," Naruto said sarcastically while Kim shook her with a smile on her face. Kim then sees Josh hanging up another poster, so she decided to try and ask him again. At first she hesitated, but she decided to take her mom's and friends' advice and ask him, but then a swarm of students got in the way and by the time it stopped Josh already left. Kim sighed in defeat and headed to class. Naruto saw the whole thing and face-palmed himself again for seeing yet another failed attempt. At lunch Kim still had no luck with Josh. When she mentioned she was going to spit out to him about asking him to the dance, Josh went by her say hi and accidentally spit out her juice while Josh and her friends were looking. It was so embarrassing for her, she slouched down her seat very low. Ron was having the worst luck ever in getting a date. Every girl he asks just walks away from him when he tries to be a cool ladies' man to her. Kim tried to ask him while he's at the gym painting the dances banner. Kim was hesitating but she tried to take her mother's advice and go for it. When she was about to, her rival Bonnie showed up blocking the door. "Hi, Kim," Bonnie said in a snobby tone with a smirk on her face. "Bonnie," Kim replied in an annoyed one, "asking Josh to the dance? So what if I am? I hope you don't mind if I watch." "Watch what? It's so obvious that you're crushing on him." "It is not, yeah," Bonnie said sarcastically. "I for one think it's great you're going to ask him to the dance." "Really?" Kim said in sarcastic tone. "Totally, I get to see you crash and burn." "Maybe he'll say yes. Maybe, but he has rejected girls way higher on the food chain than you." "Well," Kim scoffed, "I'm going to ask him anyway." "Go for it." "I will." But Kim hesitated, looked back to Bonnie and said, "After practice." After Kim left, Bonnie was left with a big cocky smirk on her face. During cheer practice, Ron came in with a megaphone doing yet another failed attempt get someone got the dance with him. Kim had irritated look on her face watching Ron's behavior in his attempt to get a date for the dance. After practice was over they got a call from Naruto, telling them to meet him outside. However, when Naruto called it was a really bad time because Kim was on top of pyramid and she fell off and ripped the banner Josh was working on for the dance by accident. It was really embarrassing for her, especially since her crush was there to see it. Naruto was usually at karate practice at this time but he came pretty early. Ron and Kim met Naruto outside of the front entrance to the school who was leaning against the wall. "Aren't you usually at karate practice at this time?" Kim questioned. "Yeah I am, until I got a call from Wade," Naruto said. He then pulled out his communicator and showed them the quadrants to where they need to find Draken. Wade was able to find a lead to where Draken is and he was able to figure out what Draken is planning to do with all the equipment he stole. "So, what did he found out?" Kim asked. "Well, the machine he stole was mostly made up of robotics," Naruto said. "According to Wade, Draken can turn that harmless robot assembly line into a very dangerous weapon. If that's true, then Draken could cause some serious damage, Kim said. Yeah, he could steal the Christmas holiday faster with a dangerous robotic weapon, Ron said. This caused Kim to roll her eyes and Naruto face palm and say, "For the last time, Ron, Draken wants to take over the world. Drop the whole stealing Christmas idea," Naruto said. Anyways, Wade says Draken's latest lair, which hasn't been blown up yet, is located in the snowy mountains Alp of Germany. Then let's get going, Kim said with a smile on her face. Team Possible was traveling in a snow mobile truck. They were all in their snow gear. Kim was wearing a red jacket with black snow pants and black boots. Ron was wearing a blue snowsuit. And Naruto was wearing an orange snowsuit with white ski goggles with orange lenses. Rufus was very cold and was wrapped around in Ron's scarf. "I told you to bring your jacket," Ron said to his naked pet. "Snow and naked don't mix." "Okay, let's recap on what we know," Kim said. "Right," Ron said. "Subject, Josh Wendell Mankey." "I think she meant about Draken's alpine lair, Ron," Naruto said. "Oh, then I got nothing," Ron said. "Time out, Josh's middle name is Wendell?" Kim asked. When Kim looked at Naruto, he just shrugged his shoulder and said, "Who knew?" "Well, it could be," Ron said. "You obviously done your research," Kim said while raising an eyebrow. "I swear the rest of my report is very factual," Ron said. Rufus then took out photos out of the folder Ron brought. "Oh, this should be good," Naruto said sarcastically. Moving on, Mankey has rejected requests to the Spirit Week dance from a lot of girls, including Bonnie Rockwaller. Then Rufus showed a poorly bad picture of Bonnie, which Naruto laughed. Real picture not included. Wait, Josh spiked Bonnie," Kim said in amused tone. Naruto snickered at this. Like Kim, he is not a big fan of Bonnie. "Okay, anyone who can say no to Little Miss Popular definitely earns my respect," Naruto said with a smirk on his face. "How did you find all this out?" "I, found this out when Bonnie and those other girls that Josh rejected spiked me," Ron said sheepishly. Soon the truck stopped. "Okay, kids, we're here," said Heinrich. "Thanks for the ride, Heinrich," Kim said. "Yeah, we really appreciate it," Naruto said. "Naruto, Kim, you sillies. It's the least I can do after you kids saved our village from the avalanche last year," Heinrich said as he patted Kim's head. "No big," Kim said. "Yeah, saving lives is like a hobby of ours," Naruto said as he shrugged, which made the German man smile at the kid's modesty. Kim and Naruto got their snowboards, went ahead while Naruto stayed with Ron. The former got a deadpan look as latter came over to Heinrich, who had an irritated look on his face. "So, Heinrich, you got any teenage daughters who would want to go to a big American dance party?" Ron persuaded to the German man. "Neen," he said as he handed him his snowboard. "9? One's plenty, or maybe 2. Ron said. Then Kim came in from behind and grabbed him by his shirt. "Neen is German for no, Ron. Let's go." Then she pulled Ron away from the truck. Naruto looked at the German man while rubbing the back of his head. "Sorry about that," Naruto said. "It's okay, now, good luck kids," Heinrich said. "Unstoppable," he said in a displeased tone, which made Ron frown and cross his arms after he left. "I don't get what his problem is," Ron said while pointing the way Heinrich left. "I mean, I helped with the avalanche problem." "Oh yeah, you helped all right," Naruto teased, "by starting it in the first place." That remark caused Ron to cross his arms and frown at Naruto while he had smirk on his face. "If you two are finished, we got a secret lair to find," Kim said. She then snowboarded down the mountain. Naruto was following her on his snowboard. Ron, however, was having a little trouble getting down. Both Kim and Naruto came to a stop after they reached a peak of the hill. Kim looked over at Draken's lair with her binoculars and could see it in her sights. "Talk to me, Wade," she said on the communicator part of her modified binoculars. "This is incredible," Wade says. "How come every time when you say, 'This is incredible,' when we get to the supervillain's lair it usually means it's bad for us," Naruto said. "'Cause it's very fascinating on what technology they use, Naruto," Wade explained. "According to this, Draken's security system is tight but nothing I can't hack in." "Great," Kim said relieved. "Unfortunately, I can't shut it off," Wade said. "But what I can do for you guys is help you guys see the security system's sensors beams by changing the frequencies." "Please and thank you," Kim said. At home, Wade was able to do what he told Kim and Naruto by typing on his computer. And thanks to Wade's computer magic, he was able to make the security beams visible for his friends. As for Ron, he was able to get back on his feet with his snowboard, but he began sliding down to where his friends are backwards. Kim then put her binoculars, communicator away, then turned to Naruto. Okay, you know what to do, right? Yep. Get into Draken's lair without touching the security beams, Naruto said. Hey, Ron, you got all that? Ron? Naruto and Kim then turned to see Ron tumbling right towards them. Naruto and Kim began boarding down the mountain right into security beams, while Naruto was holding onto Ron as they were going down. Naruto set Ron down as they to the security beams. Kim and Naruto were doing good dodging the beams, while Ron was doing well, in a clumsy sort of way. Naruto and Kim were able to come to a stop. Ron, however, fell and was skidding towards one of the beams. His friends looked worried as he was getting closer, but luckily he stopped before he touched it. They all sighed in relief, thinking they were safe, but then Rufus accidentally rolled out of Ron's pocket and stopped right at one of the security beams. The security system then turned on and giant metal walls came out, trapping them. As they were inside Draken's hideout, Draken's men, all equipped with shock staffs, surrounded them. Shigo was above them on the platform with her glowing energy hands. While Ron had a scared look on his face, both Kim and Naruto had an annoyed look on their faces. Okay, I have never been captured this fast, Kim complained. I know what you mean, we officially broken the record for fastest time to be captured in a villain's lair. Thanks a lot, Ron, Naruto said while glaring Ron. I mean, how can it be any more humiliating than this? Not as bad on what he did during cheer practice, and in front of Josh, Kim said while glaring at Ron as well. Hey, look on the bright side, Ron said, trying to brighten mood. What bright side? Kim said while she and Naruto did not drop their annoyed face expressions. At least we got into Draken's lair, Ron said happily. Yeah, not the way we pictured on how we can get in, Naruto said. Yeah, don't mind me, I just love to watch, Shigo said. Kim then ran forward, jumped on Draken's henchmen's heads to get up to Shigo. As for Naruto and Ron, the latter hid behind the former while he pulled out a small metal stick, which extended into a bow staff to fight Draken's men. The men charged at Naruto, but he was able to block their attacks while he was clobbering them at the same time with his weapon. Ron was able to get away from the crowd as they only concentrated on Naruto. Naruto knew there was too many of them to take on, so he used his staff to pole vault over them, thanks to years in track and field. While in midair, Naruto threw a smoke bomb that contained Wade's secret stink formula. The smell was so bad it made Draken's henchmen pass out. After Naruto landed on his feet, the men who got out of the stink bomb's range charged at him. Naruto sees Kim's fight with Shigo, and it seems Shigo was having the advantage. Naruto then lightly passed one of the stink bombs to Ron. Ron, use that stink bomb to help Kim, Naruto said. Ron nodded and headed to Kim's direction as Naruto handled more of Draken's henchmen. While Kim was fighting Shigo, the latter tossed the crime fighter up and over, and Kim was holding on to the platform with both hands and looked she was about to fall. Shigo then tried to stomp on one of her hands, but Kim grabbed with and pushed her back. This gave Kim time to pull herself back up. Ron then ran toward where Kim and Shigo are. KP, hold your breath, Ron warned Kim, which she did. Ron then tossed the stink bomb at Shigo. When it bursts, it knocked her out. Ron then turned back where Naruto was, and he was able to beat all of Draken's men while Ron helped Kim against Shigo. Booyah, Ron said, as he and Naruto high-fived after that victory, while Kim just smiled and placed her hands on their shoulders. Nice work, boys, Kim said. Thank Wade, he's the one who makes the stink formula, Naruto said while holding up another one. But I don't want to know what's the secret in making this stuff. Never mind about that, Kim said. Where's Draken? Draken then came down on a mobile platform. Ah, my teenage foes and the buffoon, Draken said. Naruto then leaned over to Ron. I think he means you, he whispered. I know he was talking about me, Ron said to Naruto, then turned back to Draken. And for your information, this buffoon has found out your master plan. He then walked up to one of the game consoles. You want to steal Christmas? After hearing that, caused Kim to roll her eyes and Naruto to shake his head. Not even close, Draken said. That's what we kept on telling you, Ron, Kim said in an irritated tone. This is yet another scheme to take over the world. Draken then got in some kind of machine and activated some controls that's causing the robot assembling line her stole from Nakasumi to form into something. Watch as you see as I was able to reassemble this robot assembling line into the ultimate robot warrior, Draken said. The robot warrior then picked up a tank and crushed it with ease. Yipe, Ron said. That would be so cool if it wasn't going to kill us, Naruto said while pointing at the robot warrior. The robot began firing lasers at them, but the trio managed to get out of the way. They decided to hide behind the crate so they can think of a plan on how to beat it. Naruto, you're usually the quick thinker on this team and you're the warrior here. Any ideas on how to beat these things? Ron asked in a little fear. Naruto was pretending to think and said, let's see, we're backed into a corner, we're up against a giant robot warrior that shoots laser and is over 10 times our size. I've got nothing. Well, maybe Wade does, Kim said as she pulled out her communicator to contact Wade. Wade, we're up against a giant robot warrior, which used to be a robot assembly line, Wade said. Yeah, we know about that. How do we stop it? Naruto asked. That thing is too big for us to take down. Don't worry, Naruto, Wade says as he looks into the schematics of the robot assembly line. According to these schematics, Nakasumi-san has programmed the system with override module. If I can access it, I just might be able to control it back at my house. The team then sees the robot holding the crate they were hiding behind and was about to crush them with it. They managed to get out of the way in time. The robot began firing more lasers at Kim, but she used her acrobat skills as a cheerleader to dodge the blasts. Draken tried to blast Naruto next, but Naruto also had acrobat skills. His mom was a gymnast and her skills passed down to him. Why must they have to be an athlete and a cheerleader? Draken said. They were on the debate team, I would have had them by now. He then tried to blast Kim again, but she managed to dodge and slide under the robot. She's gone, Draken said, but how? It's impossible. Actually, it's possible, Kim, possible, but that's a common mistake, Ron said. Draken heard him and tried to blast him, but Ron got out of the way. While Ron had Draken distracted, Naruto grabbed the emergency fire hose and pointed at Draken. Hey, Draken, how about a nice cold drink? Naruto said as he fired a blast of water at Draken's robot warrior's control room and right at Draken's face. A powerful robot designed with state-of-the-art robotics, but I forgot to install a windshield, Draken said. While Naruto and Ron were distracting Draken, Kim was able to climb on the back of the robot trying to find the override lock. Now where is that override thingy? Kim asked as she was on the robot's back. The robot activated a hidden security camera and Draken can see Kim on his monitor. Kim then punched the camera so Draken couldn't see her, but that's not going to stop him. Get off my back, Draken said as he tries to scratch her off the robot's body with its claws, but his aim was way off and he actually helped her find the override lock as for Wade to hack into the robot warrior. Kim then connected her communicator to the robot warrior's override lock. Good luck, Wade, she said. As Wade got into the robot's system, he got a new problem to deal with. He needs Nakasumi's password to access the robot warrior's controls. As Kim got jumped off the robot, Ron tries to attack with a flying kick, but Robot Tendril came out and grabbed his leg and was hanging him upside down. Naruto tried head to the robot to help Ron, but Shigo jumped in front of him and knocked him over with a kick in the gut. She then jumped towards him and about to strike with her energy hand, but Naruto dodged and kicked her off. After Naruto got back up, he pulled out his staff and began fighting Shigo with it. They appear evenly matched. While Ron was upside down, Rufus fell out of his pocket. Kim then had to save him by using her grappling hair dryer to swoop down and save him. After she put Rufus in her pocket, Draken tried to attack her with his robot warrior, but she kept on jumping around from one arm to the other every time it tries to strike her. But now she was cornered when the robot pointed its cannon at her. You should have stuck to babysitting, Draken said. What made you think ordinary teenagers could possibly defeat me? During Naruto's fight with Shigo, he sees Kim about to get blasted. He had to think of something to save her. First, he jabbed Shigo's foot with his staff, causing her to back up and hold it. Then he kicked her away so he can help Kim. He then remembered the Wade will be able to control it. He took out his communicator and Wade was still trying to figure out the password. When Wade told Naruto his situation, Naruto began to think what it could be and he could help since he's from Japan. When the robot's jumbo monitor kept saying konnichiwa, that's when it hit Naruto on what the password is. Wade, hint, what is the Japanese word for hello? Naruto said. Konnichiwa, of course, Wade said. Thanks, Naruto. Just hurry, Wade, not much time, as the cannon was about to fire at Kim, but luckily Wade was able to take control in time and stop it from firing. Another tendril from the robot came out and grabbed Draken and hung him upside down in the same position Ron is in. When the team they thought they have won already, Shigo then grabbed one of the shock staffs and knocked the communicator off the robot, thus disconnecting Wade's link to it. The robot warrior was not moving since no one is in the control room, but then Kim and Shigo entered and began fighting inside the machine. During the fight, Kim kicked Shigo to the joysticks that controls the arms and it caused them to let him go, both Ron and Draken. Draken was hanging on to the hanger of the robot while Ron slid down the robot's leg. Goodbye, Kimmy, Shigo said as she used one of the controls to tilt the robot so Kim would fall out. Kim used her grappling hook hair dryer to swing around the robot's legs and tying them up. When the robot tried to walk, it tripped and was about to fall down on Ron, until Kim activated her rocket skates to grab and save Ron just in time before the robot fell. Naruto then walked up to them and the team all gave themselves high fives for a job well done. Team Possible shoots, they score. Ron said. Guess Draken's ultimate robot warrior wasn't so ultimate, after all. Naruto said. Although, I feel that we're forgetting something. Curse you, Kim Possible. You think you're all that, but you're not. Draken said while hanging off a steel beam on the ceiling. There it is. Naruto joked, which caused Kim, Ron and Rufus to laugh. Come on, let's go home. Kim said. On the next day at school Kim was pretty down. The reason for this is because it's Friday, and is her last chance to ask Josh to the dance. But after her humiliating stunts she pulled at school and cheer practice while Josh was around, she's not sure it was a good idea. Kim, why are you so down? I mean, you saved the day again, you should feel proud, Naruto said while putting his hand on her shoulder. Yeah, I mean Draken's in jail, Christmas was saved, what's the big? Ron said. Okay, first of all drop with the whole Christmas thing and I got to tell ya. Draken is easy compared to this, Kim said. Kim, believe us, if you can deal with the international super freak, then Josh Mankey would just be a walk in the park. Naruto said. They then heard the beep from Kim's communicator. She answered and it's from Wade. Kim, he just left third period and is heading your way, Wade said. What? Kim said nervously. I triangulate his signal, he's passing the gym and is heading to your position. Kim did not know what to do. She saw the janitor's closet and is there. Naruto just shook his head about his. Hiding in a closet, are you serious? This how you're going to deal with your last chance to ask him to some dance? Naruto said. I just can't do it, Kim said. Okay, you know what, I've got a better idea, Naruto said as he began walking down the hallway. You so owe me big time for this KP. Kim stepped out of the closet. Naruto, where are you going? Naruto walked down the hallway and saw Josh walking down the hallway. Naruto then leaned against the wall. Josh then noticed Naruto leaning there. Hey, Josh, what's up? Naruto said. Oh hey, Naruto, I am fine thank you very much. Josh said. I saw you defending that freshman from those two bullies, that was pretty cool of you. Thanks. Like Kim always says, it was no big, yeah, but you know, there was a better way in dealing with those bullies without going all ninja on them. Hey, those jerks had it coming. Say Josh, I've been hearing that you said no to most of the girls who asked to the dance. What gives? I don't know, I wasn't really interested in those other girls. Josh admitted. I guess you could say I was waiting for the right time for the right person. Hearing that made Naruto smirk. Really? What would you say? I know a certain redhead, who is pretty, smart, funny, head cheerleader, save the world on a regular basis and is available? Naruto said. Kim Possible? Josh asked. Naruto nodded. He then gave Naruto a puzzled look. I was actually thinking of asking her, but I kind of thought the two of you were dating. Me and Kim? No, we're just friends, it's been like that since junior high. I rest assured to you she is single and will say yes if you ask her. Naruto said. Do you really think so? Definitely. Naruto said. If you want to find Kim and ask her yourself, she's down the hall. Thanks, man. Josh then left and see Kim while Naruto had a big smirk on his face. Oh, I do not want to miss this, he thought, as he looked over the hallway where Josh is heading. He then took out his communicator and contacted Kim. Hey, KP, I saw Josh walk the other way, so it's all right to come out now, he said. Kim sighed. Thanks, Naruto. Kim got out of the closet and when she looked to her right, Josh was there and she was stunned. That's when she realized that Naruto tricked her. Ron then saw Naruto signaling him over so Kim can have some alone time with Josh. He nodded and head over to where Naruto is. Kim saw her whiskered friend with a big devious grin on his face. Naruto, you sneaky little liar, she thought. Hey, Kim, Josh said. Oh, hi Josh. Look, I want to say I'm sorry about the banner during my team's practice, it was a total accident, Kim said, all apologetic. It's cool, the banner was a little weak anyway, Josh said. Oh really? He nodded. So the new one is better? She asked. Much, as long as you don't tear that one down, he joked. Right, definitely not, Kim said, all nervous. Josh then let out a sigh. He looked over and sees Naruto watching. He gave Josh a nod telling him it's okay. Josh smiled, nodded back, then looked back to Kim. So, Kim, Naruto said that you are still looking for a date to the dance, Josh said. Yeah, I guess so. Why? I was wondering if you would like to go to the dance with me. I mean, if it's all right with you. Josh asked. Kim blushed a little, smiled and knew exactly what to say. Sure, I would be glad to. Great, he said. So I'll come by at 7 sure. Sure, sounds great, Kim said while trying to contain her excitement. Naruto, you're the best, she thought. As she was walking with Josh, she looks back and sees Naruto leaning against the wall with a smile on his face and gave her thumbs up. She returned it as a token of thanks. After they left, both Ron and Naruto came out seeing it's okay now. Naruto was very happy for Kim and so are Ron and Rufus. I am happy for KP and all, but what do I do? Ron said. I mean, mostly every girl I ask just says no or runs away and I, never find a date to the dance at this time. Hearing that, had Rufus climb up his shoulder and patted him on his shoulders. Naruto felt bad too, but know just the way to cheer Ron up after his luck of misfortune with the ladies. You know, since it's just us guys, right, we could just go have a guys' night out at Bueno Nacho and some of the best milkshakes in town on me. Naruto said, which brightened Ron and Rufus's moods again. After his guys' night out with Ron, Naruto decided to head home. Since Naruto is from Japan, it's tradition to take off his shoes when entering. He was then greeted by Fist Pet Red Fox Cub, who climbed up to his shoulder and started rubbing its face against Naruto's. Hey there, Kurama, sorry I was gone for so long, Naruto said as he was scratching his chin. Hi honey, how was your day? Said a sweet voice. It was Naruto's mother, Kushina. Kushina was a very beautiful woman with long red hair, smooth skin and big violet eyes. Kim and Ron has met Naruto's mom before, and after years of being her son's new best friend, Kim still thinks Kushina is very beautiful. It was fine. Ron and I had a great time. Also, Kim just texted me and she is having a great time at the dance, Naruto said. Great. Also, Naruto, you know what it's time for? His mom asked. I know, Mom, just let me get changed first. A few minutes later and Naruto changed into a ninja's outfit. His ninja suit was black, equipped with a sword on his back and black hood and scarf. As a final piece of his ninja garment, there was a red spiral on the back. Time for ninja night training, Kushina said. Remember, just because we are not in our sacred ninja school anymore doesn't you get to slack off your training and enjoy some milkshakes with your friends. I know, Mom, Naruto said, then looked down because he feels bad that he can't tell his two friends about this. Kushina can see this guilt on his face, then came over to her son and gave him a nice warm hug. I know you want to tell your friends about this, but it's not our call to tell them. It's against our school's and our clan's laws to tell any outsiders about our ninja ways. I know, Naruto said as his face gets serious, pulls up his face mask and pulls down his hood and is ready to begin more night training. All right, Mom, let the training begin, Naruto said as they head outside. The Middleton cheer team and Ron, as their team's mascot, were on a trip to a cheer competition. Ron and the cheerleaders were doing their chant while traveling and driving Mr. Barkin insane during the ride. As he was driving, both he and Kim saw Naruto waiting at the front entrance of Middleton Community College in his mission uniform next to his motorcycle. Uzumaki, he called. Naruto looked to see Mr. Barkin. Hey, Mr. B. What's up? He said with a smile. What's up is that you're all alone doing nothing while standing next to a motorized vehicle. What are you doing out here? Mr. Barkin asks. That is a good question, Kim said as she came out of the bus. Naruto, what are you doing out here? Well, Wade told me about an emergency down by Middleton Community College. After I caught the bad guy, I was about to head home on my ride except for one problem, Naruto said. And what's that? Mr. Barkin asked. The spark plugs are gone, Naruto said. So I called my mom so she can give me a ride for home. She told me she was a little busy at the moment and it would take a couple of hours before she gets out of work. Wait, there was an emergency? Kim asked. Why didn't you tell me? Because I didn't want you to miss your competition, Naruto said, which made Kim smile. Well, Uzumaki, instead of waiting hours for a ride home, why don't you come along with us for the ride and after the competition is over we can give you a ride back home? Mr. Barkin offered. What do I get out of this trip? Naruto asked while having a raised eyebrow and smirk on his face. Well, a free ride back home is start and we'll let you watch the competition for free, Mr. Barkin said with a smirk on his face. Let's see, a free ride home, going on a bus filled with hot cheerleaders. I'm not stupid, yeah I'm in, Naruto said. While he and Mr. Barkin shake hands, Kim had a smirk on her face. As they got on the bus, Naruto sat next to Ron on the way to the competition. The girls, except for Bonnie, liked the idea of having Naruto on the same bus with them. Not only Naruto's as a star athlete, they think he's really cute. During the ride to the competition, Ron and the cheer team continued with chant annoying Mr. Barkins again. During the cheering, Ron put on the Mad Dog mascot head and began to do the mosque's foaming thing again. This disgusted the squad while Kim was just annoyed about it. Naruto was getting annoyed too, especially since the foam is getting on him. He then shoved Ron and said, "Dude, say it, don't spray it," Naruto said to Ron, who took off the mask and rubbing the back of his head. "Yeah, Ron, maybe you should hold back until we get to the competition," Kim said. "You know, pace yourself." "Oh, come on, KP, the Mad Dog came to play," Ron said. "Yay," Rufus said while pumping his fist. "No, Ron, you're already on thin ice with these girls, okay?" Kim said. "Can you at least be somewhat normal? Is there anyone who is not the boss me?" Ron complained. "I am so not bossy," Kim replied, which made Naruto snicker. "Yeah, right," Naruto said sarcastically. "Hey, you know that I'm usually right," Kim said, then pointed at Naruto. "And you better be on your best behavior or otherwise you are going to walk the rest to the way home." All right, I get it, no need to get testy," Naruto said. During the ride, Naruto was looking at the window with a curious look on his face, and then he turned to Ron. "Hey, Ron, does this road look familiar?" Naruto asked. Ron then turned to the road and began to realize Naruto was right. The road did seem familiar to him, too familiar. He then gasped and took out his communicator and called Wade. "Wade, I need a GSP lock on our position, stat," Ron said with a little worry in his voice. Okay, calm down, Mad Dog," Wade said. Then he began some quick typing on his computer. Locked. The GPS map showed a road map on the road they're taking on Ron's communicator. It showed that they are driving towards a campsite called Camp Wanaweep. Ron let out a big gasp and had a pure terror expression on his face. Naruto was shocked too, but he wasn't going to overreact like how Ron is going to do. That can't be right, Ron said. "Ron," Kim said in a worried tone. "It's my worst nightmare," Ron said. "Return to Camp Wanaweep." "Camp Wana what?" Terra asked in confusion to Naruto. "Camp Wanaweep," Naruto said. "When me and Ron were in 6th grade, our folks wanted us to get more connected to nature and away from video games during summer vacation." "How was it?" Terra asked. "It was the worst summer of my life," Ron said. "I made a vow to never to come back to Camp Wanaweep." "Oh, come on, Ron," Kim said. "The competition isn't he even going to be at Camp Wanaweep?" "Yeah, no need to get hysterical. I mean, what are you, a mad dog or a scaredy cat?" Naruto said while both he and Kim had deadpan look on their faces. "What are my options?" Ron said, still scared. "Look, Ron, we'll be going past Camp Wanaweep and you'll never have to set foot in there ever again," Kim said. "Yeah. Anyways, I need to make a call," Naruto said before picking up his cell phone calling his mom. "Hey, Mom, I just want you to know I'm gonna be a little late. I'm with Kim and Ron's bus to their cheer competition and I'll be home by the time it's over," Naruto said. "Yes, I promise not stuff myself too much at the snack bar. Yes, I know what happened last time and I know I should have listened to you. Bye." Naruto then hung up. "What happened last time when you ate too much?" one of the cheerleaders said. "Well, it happened during last year's homecoming game," Naruto said. "Let's just say, there will be consequences if you stuff your face with too many chili dogs." As the bus was driving, there was plank of wood in middle of road with nails sticking out of it. When the bus ran over it, it popped the 2 tires of the right side of the bus. The bus was forced to come to a stop in front of the front entrance to Camp Wanaweep, much to Ron's dismay. Everyone appears to be all right. After hearing that, Mr. Barkin went outside to check out the bus and sees 2 flat tire. "Dandy," he muttered. He then came back inside the bus. "We got 2 flats, better call in for help." "Ladies, cell phones," Bonnie said to the squad. When the girls got their cell phones they tried to dial in, except for one problem. "No service," they said in union. After hearing that, Naruto took out his phone and communicator to see if they are right, and it's true. Bonnie was so upset she angrily threw her phone on the floor. "That's weird, the communicator isn't working either," Kim said. "Mine isn't working either, KP," Naruto said. "And I just got off a call with Mom about a minute ago and it was working fine. Something's up." "Place of pure evil, Naruto, pure evil," Ron said. "Okay, now you're just being paranoid, Ron," Naruto said. "Stoppable, Uzumaki, you 2 said you went to this camp, right?" Barkin asked the 2 boys. "Yes, unfortunately, why?" Ron asked. "Is there a phone here that we can use to call for help?" There is a payphone we can use, but it's on the other side of the camp, Naruto said. Do you think you Unstoppable could lead us to it? The two of you seem to know this camp better than any of us. Sure thing, Mr. B. Ron, what about you? Naruto asked after he answered Mr. Barkin. Naruto, buddy, as much as I want to help you, KP, and the girls, but there is no way I'm going back there, Ron said while crossing his arms. Oh, come on, Ron. Kim groaned. The vow, KP, the vow, Ron said. Then Naruto developed his devious and impish smile. Okay, fine. Let's not use the payphone to call for help and get out of here. We could all just stay at this terrible, gruesome and horrible place for the rest of our lives. Nothing but the vicious animals of the forest to keep us company, Naruto said while leaning towards Ron. That made Ron freak out a bit, as he immediately got up from his seat and head towards the door, while a twitchy smile on his face. I seem to remember where the phone is, follow me, Ron said. As everyone got up from their seats, Kim looked at Naruto with a smirk on her face. Okay, Naruto, how do you do it? Kim said. What can I say? Sometimes he just makes it way too easy, Naruto said. After they all exited the bus, Ron decided to make an announcement before they go any further in order to survive the dangers of Camp Wanoweep, much to Kim and Naruto's dismay. Attention, everyone. We are about to enter a very dangerous place, and only we Ron Stoppable and Naruto Uzumaki are your only hopes in surviving this evil place, Ron said while Naruto and Kim face-palmed themselves. He then pointed at a small plant. Danger number 1, poison oak. So what? Bonnie asked. Ever tried going to bathroom while crouching down on one of those things? Naruto said. Ron sure did, and you don't want to think too hard about what happened next. Point is that this place is a place of evil. Stay close if you want to stay alive, Ron said as the cheer squad follows him and Naruto to the payphone. When they got to the payphone, Kim tried to use it to call for help, but the phone wasn't working. There wasn't even a beep on the phone. Out of order, Kim said after giving up trying to use it. So we're stuck here with no way to call for help. Just great, Naruto said. I don't like this, Mr. Barkin said. Place of evil, Ron said. This just like those movies. Innocent teens, stranded in the middle of nowhere, then some scary creep then starts picking them off, one by one. Tara said, all afraid. So not the drama, Tara. This is not a horror movie, Kim exclaimed. Okay, if it were a horror movie, there would be more guys and they would be way cuter than them, Bonnie said while pointing at Naruto and Ron. Ah, sticks and stones, Bonnie. You know, you remind me of some of the jerks who also went here, Naruto said with a smirk on his face with Bonnie glaring at him. Tara gasped. They called you names? She asked. Oh, yeah, and they used to throw stuff at me. One of the cheerleaders freaked out a bit because she saw something move. When Kim checked her flashlight, it was just a squirrel gathering its nuts before running off. It's just a squirrel, Kim said. Just a squirrel, really? Ron said. Back at my days at the camp, the squirrels were vicious furry little maniacs. So you've always been a piece of work, Stoppable, Mr. Barkin sarcastically said. Hey, they were bigger then, Ron claimed. Sure you weren't just smaller? They were bigger, Ron muttered. Naruto then tapped Mr. Barkin's shoulder. Those squirrels were pretty feisty, Mr. B. Naruto whispered. Oh, yeah, piece of advice. The next time you come here, make sure you don't bring any peanuts with you, trust me. I'll be sure to keep that in mind, Mr. Barkin said with a smirk on his face. Well, looks like we're stuck for the night, Kim said. Everyone then looked at her. Okay, look, let's make the best of it. Not like we have a choice, we must be miles away from town, Naruto said. Rufus then tugged Ron's shirt, signaling to lead them to the campground. Right, follow me. Ron then led the group to the center of the camp where the camp used to tell ghost stories. Ron began telling his tales about how he survived Camp Wanoweep during summer break after he and Naruto finished 6th grade. They were growing tired of the stories about how Ron hated the camp so much. So you shared a cabin with a tick-infested chimp? Tara asked Ron. Yeah, this place holds a lot of memories, Ron said. Some are bad, some are not too bad. Yeah, that whole roommate with a chimp deal, Naruto said to Tara. You're seeing the reason on what caused Ron's fear of anything monkey-related. What about you, Naruto? I mean, did you like your time at this camp? Tara said. Are you kidding me, Tara? I hated this place, Naruto said. One time during camp activities, those consolers and training jerks had the other campers use me as an archery target. Why? Kim asked. They said it would make the activity more interesting by using a moving target, Naruto said. Anyways, I'm going to get more firewood, Kim said. Kim, I don't know if that's a good idea. I mean, did you forget about the whole, picking them off one by one, thing already? Tara said. I'm actually going to agree with Tara on this one, KP. Naruto said with a bit of concern in his voice. Rule number 1. Never go off alone in the woods in an abandoned camp. Don't you watch any horror movies? Yeah, you better stick with buddy system, KP, Ron suggested. I'll go with you, Mr. Barkin said. See, Mr. B knows the program, Ron said with his thumb up. I cannot take another camp story, Mr. Barkin whispered to Kim. Why do you think I'm going? She replied in a dry tone. As the duo was walking through the wood, a mysterious figure with green scaly skin glowing red eyes was following them. Meanwhile with the others they were still at the campfire talking. You know, Ron, I don't know about you and Naruto but I think it's kind of nice here, Tara said. This confuses Ron and Rufus. Oh, really? Ron questioned. Yeah, Rufus said. Yeah, I mean, you know, the woods seem so peaceful and the lake seems so calm, Tara said. Lake Wanaweep. You mean that green, smelly and disgusting lake? Naruto said as he points at the lake. The lake is green colored. Now that you mentioned it, it does reek, one of cheerleaders said. What is with that? That. Ron point his flashing at another camp that has big pipes that's spewing out toxic waste. Leftover toxic chemical compound from the science camp. EEEWWW. The cheerleaders said. Okay, that cannot be legal, Tara said. It's not. Naruto said. The old head of the camp got arrested by the authorities for allowing this to happen. As for the other camps, they were forced to shut down until the lake is clean from all the toxic chemicals. Believe or not, the old consolers used to have a swim in that funky lake until they realized what was going on. EEWWW. The cheerleaders said. GROS. They actually made you guys swim in that stink pool of a lake? Bonnie said. Me and Naruto didn't. Ron said proudly. We were smart, we knew something was wrong with that lake and we refused to swim. Yeah, unlike my old cabin buddy during my days here, Naruto muttered. And who was your old cabin buddy? Tara asked. His name was Gil Moss, and during summer break here he was complete jerk. Naruto said. He was the meanest and most obnoxious guy the first ever met. Unlike me and Ron who hated swimming that filthy lake, he actually loved swimming in it, so much he practically lived in that toxic soup. Yuick, and I thought you two were losers. This Gil guy sounds like a total loser to the max, Bonnie said. So whatever happened to Gil? Tara asked. He disappeared, Ron said while holding a flashlight to his face. The girls except for Bonnie all gasped. Bonnie just rolled her eyes. Disappeared? Tara said in a worried tone. Get real, Tara, Bonnie said. They're just trying to scare us. Oh no, Bonnie, it's the truth. When the camps were ordered to shut down, Gil disappeared without a trace, Naruto said. Okay, so what happened to the loser? Bonnie said. Well, it happened on the week before the end of the summer, Naruto said. The camp was ordered to shut down early because the toxic waste issue with the lake was discovered. As we were all heading back home on the bus, Gil was missing. The consolers in training searched for Gil all over the camp, science camp, band camp, telecommunications camp, even clown camp, but Gil was nowhere to be found. Whoa, freaky. Tara said. Didn't they try to call the police to find him? They did, Ron said. But we don't know if they found him or not. We were all sent home after they made the call. Anyways, Bonnie said. You two have been losers for like ever. After hearing that, Naruto, Ron and Rufus glared at her after that little remark of hers. Meanwhile Kim and Mr. Barkin were still collecting firewood from the woods. As they were walking through the dark woods, Kim heard some strange sounds in the woods and she thought it was something bad. Mr. Barkin, do you hear something? Kim asked. There was nothing out of the ordinary around where they are and they only heard the crickets chirping. Stoppable and Uzumaki are getting to ya. Nothing here and only hearing nature's night music, Mr. Barkin claimed. As he was going to pick up another piece of firewood, a green webbed hand grabbed his ankle and dragged him to a bush. He tried to break free but whatever grabbed him was too strong for him and he was dragged away. Kim looked behind her and Mr. Barkin was nowhere to be seen. She tried to call out his name 3 times but no answer. She then rushed right back to the group. Guys, have you seen Mr. Barkin? Kim asked. Duh, he was with you, remember? Bonnie said. No he's not. He vanished after my back was turned, Kim said. What happened? Ron asked. Well first I heard these strange sounds, he was there, then I heard some more weird sounds and then he disappeared, Kim said. What? Tara said. Kim then looked around and noticed 2 of the cheerleaders are missing. Where's Liz and Marcella? She asked. They went to the little girls' cabins, Tara said. They then heard some screaming from the outhouses. Kim went to check one of the stalls, and when she opened one of the doors there was no one there. She checked the other one and it had the same results. Naruto and Ron came over to where Kim is. They're not in there, Kim said. Well, where could they have gone? Ron asked. Naruto then looked down and sees a big footprint that looked human, but it was bigger and had 3 toes. Guys, you might want to take a look at this, Naruto said. They looked down and both Ron and Rufus were a little freaked by this. That is not a human footprint, Ron said. Okay, I'm getting a little freaked out here, Kim said. I don't know what's going on here, but something's wrong here. Yeah, Naruto said. We need to get everyone else to shelter. Whatever is going on here, something is out there and we are way too exposed out here. It's only a matter of time before someone else gets kidnapped. Then there is only one place we need to go, Cabin 13, Ron said. Team Possible and the cheer squad all made it to Cabin 13, the very same cabin where Ron had to spend his whole summer break at Camp Wanaweep. In this very cabin is how I was able to survive every known evil Camp Wanaweep could throw at me, Ron said proudly. This shall be our base of operations. Any questions? Tara then raised her hand. Yeah, I'm hungry. Naruto, did you bring anything with you from the university? Tara asked. Sorry, no, Naruto said sadly. If I known I was coming with you on the ride to the competition, I would have brought something with me. So, you mean we're stuck here and we have no food? Great, Bonnie groaned. Not to worry, Ron said. Then he kicked up one of the floorboards and had a stash of snacks. Luckily I remember where I hid my secret stash of snacks during my days at camp. Cool, Tara said after Ron handed her a bag of chips. Ron, we can't eat that, Naruto said. I mean, we haven't had any of your secret stash snacks since the 6th grade. Naruto's right, Kim said. Tara, those snacks have to be ancient by now. Gros. Bonnie said in disgust. Pop Porter's pork wafers have enough preserves for us to last for decades, Ron said. Tara then took out a chip from one of the bags, took a small bite in it and swallowed it. It's not so bad, hey, it's definitely food style, she said sheepishly. See, it's still edible, Ron said, then tries hand a bag to Naruto. Want some, Naruto? Thanks but no thanks, Ron, I might hungry but I'm not that hungry, Naruto said sheepishly while pushing the bag away. Great, our squad is missing 2 people and there is nobody to drive us to the competition, Bonnie said. Naruto then face-palmed and turned to Bonnie. How can you even think about the competition at a time like this? Naruto said. I mean, we have 3 people missing, we're stranded in an abandoned camp miles away from town and there is something out there in the woods waiting for it to come out and get us. Okay, hate to say it but you're right, Bonnie said. Then had an idea in her head. Do you think it or whatever it is out there can drive? Naruto just hung his head down and shook it. Okay, everyone let's calm down, Kim announced. I know things look pretty bad right now but I'm sure we can all think of something. KP's right, Ron said. We can work this out and there is reason not to panic. Ron however spoke too soon as they heard a yell for help. Ron got scared and jumped into Naruto's arms in fear after hearing that. Naruto had an irritated look on his face and dropped Ron and he landed on his butt. Was that Mr. Barkin? Kim asked. Yeah, and he sounds like he needs help. Come on, Naruto said. Team Possible left the cabin and ran off to the direction where they heard Mr. Barkin's voice. They managed to find him and his arms were restricted together in some kind of oozing green sludge. Mr. Barkin was panting from the exhaustion after he was done running. It's okay, Mr. Barkin, we're here, Kim said. Naruto then came closer. Mr. Barkin, seeing the green muck. Mr. Barkin, who did this to you? Naruto got a whiff of the green muck and pinched his nose. And what is that stuff? It reeks. It's dripping and oozing muck. Yuck, Mr. Barkin said in disgust. Mr. B, can you tell what it is? Ron said. It's freakish, it makes me ill just to visualize it, Mr. Barkin said. After hearing that, Rufus began to gag. Can you at least give us a quick description on what we're dealing with here? Naruto asked. So far we are missing 2 people and it or whatever it is responsible for it. No matter how disgusting about how I think about it, I say it's some kind of fish man while covered in this stuff, Mr. Barkin said while referring to the green muck. Wait a minute, Kim said. You're telling me there is a oozing fish man out there? How is that even possible? Haven't you been listening, Kim? Ron said. This place is pure evil. Naruto just had a deadpan expression on his face. Anyways, this fishman thing, where do you think it went off to? Naruto asked. He got his answer when he heard screaming from the cabin that the girls are in. Never mind, I think we know where it is now. Yeah, back where the other girls are. Come on, Kim said. The four of them went back to cabin 13, and when they did, green sludge burst out of the doors and the wall, leaving a big hole in the cabin. The gang then sees a half-man half-fish with green scales and gills in front of them. The fishman had red eyes with black pupils. On his body was a brown sludge that looked like cloths and it was dripping. The girls are stuck to the walls by the same green sludge. Gross. That's him? Naruto asked Mr. Barkin. That's the guy, Mr. Barkin sneered. He is freakish, Ron said. Hey, I heard that, Squeeb. The fishman said. And will you look at this, my old camp buddies? I have to say it's been a while, huh, Naruto? Kim then looked back to Naruto with a raised eyebrow. Naruto, you know this guy? She asked. Not really, Kim. And I'm pretty sure I would remember a talking and oozing fish monster, Naruto said. Come on, Naruto, don't you remember, we used to be bunkmates. The mutant said, then turned to Ron. And you, Ronnie, we switched places. You took my arts crafts so I can have your swim time. That is when Naruto realized the monster's identity. Gil? Naruto said. Wait a minute, Gil? Kim asked, curious. Gil Moss, KP. Ron explained. Naruto's old bunkmate during our days at Camp 1 Week, the one who went missing when the camps had to shut down. What happened to you? Naruto asked. No thanks to you, Unstoppable, Whiskers. Gil said. And I am no longer Gil. Now I am, Gil. Okay, what's the difference? Naruto asked, all confused. I added an L, you know, as in Gil, as in these things that grew when I mutated. Gil said in frustration as he pokes at his gills. Team Possible looked disgusted at that. Then Gil threw some muck Kim and she was stuck to a tree. KP. Kim. Ron and Naruto shouted. When they tried to help her, Gil stepped in front of them with his hand out. Step away from Ms. Possible, Squeebs. How do you know her? Naruto asked. Oh, I know all about yours and Ronnie's life, Squeeb. It's been going great, hasn't it? Gil said. Sure, I've got some complaints of my own, but who doesn't? Ron said nervously. Is one of your complaints that you're a stinkin' mutant? Gil said. So you're mad at us for having a good life, Naruto said. Well, yeah, Gil said. Okay, son, let's take a time out here before things get out of hand. Mr. Barkin said, trying to negotiate with the angry mutant. But Gil just flung some more muck at him, leaving Mr. Barkin stuck to a tree. Do you mind? Can't you see I'm trying to do some catching up with my old camp buddies? Gil said. So then, have you two heard why they shut down the camps? Well, yeah, the toxic chemicals from the science camp, Naruto said. Then his eyes widened when Gil mentioned the toxic lake. That's what mutated you. That's right, Gil said in anger. I mutated on the exact day when the camps were ordered to shut down. There was no way I could let anyone see me like this. And it's all your faults, he said, pointing at Ron and Naruto. Naruto just slapped away his hand. You did this to yourself, Gil. If you just listened to me and Ron about the lake, you wouldn't have ended up like this, Naruto said. Shut up, Gil said. I don't want to hear anything you have to say. Thanks to you two I'm stuck like this, and now you two are going to pay. Gil, revenge isn't the answer to your problem, Naruto said, trying to reason with him, and it won't make you human again. Gil, just listen, we know plenty of scientists, maybe someone can cure you, Kim said. Science. Science made me like this, Gil said. Like it matters anymore, cause you can't contact anyone to help you. I managed to jam all communications with equipment stolen from telecommunications camp, Kim said with a smug smile. Lucky guess, Gil said while crossing his arms. So you were the one who set up the blowout on the bus, stole the spark plugs from Naruto's motorcycle and everything, why? Kim asked. All part of my plan to get my revenge on those two squeebs for turning me into a freak, Gil said, pointing at Ron and Naruto. Part of me is terrified, and yet part of me is flattered, Ron said. Did I mention that contact with this muck will turn you into a mutant, just like me? Gil said in a sinister tone. Well, you left that part out, Kim said. This is sick and wrong, Mr. Barkin said. There is no way they would let a squad of mutant cheerleaders in the competition, Bonnie said while trying to break free. Bonnie, I don't think there was a competition to begin with, Naruto said while backing up from Gil with Ron. Whiskers here is right. It was all a trap, and guess what? You two are next, Gil said. Gil then tried to attack Naruto and Ron by spitting a glob of toxic muck at them, but they dodged the attack. Ron then ran towards Gil while evading some more muck shots from Gil. Ron then slid under Gil and back to the cabin. There he opened a hidden escape door and left from the scene. As for Naruto, he was fighting Gil one-on-one. Gil tackled Naruto to the ground and they rolled across the ground until Naruto managed to kick Gil while the latter was on top of him. Gil then threw more muck at Naruto, but he managed to evade the attack with acrobat skills. Gil then charged in for physical assault on Naruto, but Naruto managed to block his blows and he kicked the mutant away. The two then locked each other hand to hand, and it seems Gil was much more stronger when he was pushing Naruto to his knees. "I have to admit, not really a fan of the mutant thing," Gil said. "But it does have its upsides and the super strength is something I like." Naruto knew he couldn't beat him in a head-on fight, so he had to think of something else and escape with Ron. First he rolled on his back and kicked Gil off of him. Then he rushed to the escape door and made his way out. "Should have known those two would ditch us," Bonnie complained. "Ron and Naruto did not ditch us. I'm sure they have Kim said before she noticed Mr. Bracken acting funny. He was turning around like he's got some kind of itch. "Mr. Barkin, is there something wrong? My neck feels all weird and itchy and, cheese and crackers, I'm mutating." Naruto managed to get to the end of the escape tunnel, which lead to Arts and Crafts Center, and found Ron grabbing some art supplies to make lanyards. That is when Gil came out of the floorboards and shooting the toxic muck around the room. After he was done, he found the bear pelt near the window, thinking either Naruto or Ron might be behind it, but it was switched with a totem pole. He looked out the window but there was no one in sight, so Gil decided to head back. Meanwhile, both Naruto and Ron were preparing a trap for Gil. Ron was making a net with some lanyard rope that he managed to swipe from the Arts and Crafts Center, while Naruto and Rufus were fixing one of the old motorboats. Naruto did the big jobs on the motor with the tools while Rufus did the small jobs and work in the places Naruto can't reach. The trap has been set. Naruto went back to woods while Ron got on the boat with Rufus and managed to start it. Back where Kim and the others are, they were still stuck to the walls and trees by toxic muck. It was only a matter of time before Kim and the girls start mutating like Mr. Barkin. Gil was just pacing around waiting to see both Naruto and Ron will come back. "So, they ditched you?" Gil mocked Kim. "They did not ditch us," Kim shot back. "They obviously," then heard a sound of a motorboat near the lake area. "Found a motorboat so they could totally ditch us," Bonnie groaned. "They're out on the lake." "My lake. How dumb can they be?" Gil said. After Gil left to the lake, Naruto came out of the shadows, went over to Kim and began peeling off the muck off of her. Good thing he was wearing gloves or otherwise he would mutate too. Kim was elated to see that Naruto came back to help them. "Naruto," she said, "I knew you wouldn't leave us." "Of course," Naruto said. "What are friends for?" Kim looked around and can't see Ron anywhere. "Wait a minute, if you're here then does that mean that Ron is out on the lake?" Kim asked. "Yep," Naruto said. "We set a trap for Gil, while Ron lures him into it. I'll get you all out of this stuff before you become mutated freaks like Gil." Mr. Barkin was breathing heavily and a set of gills began to grow on his neck. When he looked at them, he had a horrified expression on his face. "Well, hurry it up, Uzumaki, I'm getting gills." Ron was still out on the lake driving the boat. Gil then arrived and swam fast towards Ron's boat. Gil then dove down underwater ready for a sneak attack on Ron from below. Ron's boat seems to have stopped, possibly out of gas already. "Rufus, didn't you check to see we had enough gas?" Ron asked. "Oh," Rufus said. Gil then jumped out of the water and right onto the boat, having Ron cornered like a rat. "Hey Ronnie, it's free swim time," Gil said. "You're on," Ron said. Gil then tried to grab him but Ron dove into the water to get away, but Gil followed him into the water. Ron then came back up for air. "Okay, this water is way too funky," Ron said. Gil then resurfaced and circled around Ron. "You think," Gil said. "You can't beat me, Ronnie. Naruto wasn't able to beat me in a head-on fight and you're in my element." Gil then dove at Ron and dragged him underwater. Ron then kicked Gil in the chin, set away from his grip. Gil's foot got caught in some lanyard rope that was connected to the boat. "And arts and crafts is my element," Ron said as he pulled the rope, tripping Gil in the water. "Rufus, now." Rufus then kicked the engine and it started back up again and began driving straight. The rope Gil was tangled in was connected to it and he was dragged along with it. Rufus got off the boat after it was driving out of control. The boat took a U-turn after hitting a buoy and Gil ended up hitting face first. The boat was heading right towards dock. After hitting it, the boat flew out of the water and crashed into the boathouse with Gil along with it. Gil was tired and was panting really hard. Ron then came over to him looking all proud. "Free swim's over," Ron said. In the next morning, the police and a biohazard team showed up at Camp Wanweep. The biohazard team was spraying Mr. Barking with cleansing chemicals to cure him of the toxic muck's mutating effects. Gil was trapped in the net Ron made out of lanyard rope and can't seem to break free. I have to say, Ron, those years of arts and crafts actually paid off, Naruto said as he and Ron sees Gil struggling in the net. What can I say, Naruto? Ron stoppable makes one mean lanyard, Ron said. Gil was then lifted and dropped into a giant fishbowl filled with clean water. The head scientist then came over to Team Possible and shook Naruto and Ron's hands. Guys, this is Dr. Lurkin. He specializes in genetic mutations, Kim introduced. Do you really think you can reverse Gil's mutation? Naruto asked with some concern in his voice. I know Gil is a jerk and tried to kill us, but I don't think he deserves to be a fish freak for the rest of his life. Not to worry, Naruto, you can count on me on curing him. Mr. Lurkin. I usually specialize genetically altered vegetables, so this shall be quite a challenge. This isn't over, Squeebs, I will have my revenge, Gil said inside the fishbowl. Kim then looked at Naruto and put her hand on his shoulder. Still, I know he tried to kill you too and tried to turn me and my squad into mutants, but I'm actually going to feel sorry for him, Kim said. Mr. Lurkin then came over to them. Not to worry, Ms. Possible, I promise you we will take good care of him. After the biohazard team left with Gil, Hobble, from the Middleton Police Department came over to Kim and congratulated her, but much to his shock, she told him that the real heroes who saved the day were Naruto, Ron and Rufus. Speaking of which, Naruto, Ron and Rufus received a thanks from Mr. Barkin, who gave them a job well done. They also received thanks from the cheer squad, save for Bonnie. They praised them and blew kisses at them. Tara even gave Ron a kiss on the cheek as a token of thanks. Even Bonnie reluctantly thanked them for saving her from turning into a mutant. Mr. Barkin told Team Possible that the police are going to give them a ride and escort back home. Before that, both Ron and Naruto decided to look at the cabin 13 and the camp one last time before they leave. You know, Ron, Naruto said while Ron looked at him curiously, despite on how much we went through here in this camp, I'm glad I had a friend by my side. Same here. Ron said. At least I had you to help me here, or otherwise neither one of us could survive. Kim then decided to come over to the two. They turned and were surprised when she pulled them in a big hug. Naruto especially was blushing about this. That was saying thank you for saving us, Kim said. The both of you were very brave and resourceful out there. Maybe I should let you two save the day more often. Hearing that made the two smiles and high five. Thanks, Kim. Hearing that from you, it means a lot, Naruto said, which made Kim smile warmly. So since I technically took down Gil, do you think I can lead some of the missions sometime? Ron asked. Kim and Naruto looked at each other, smirked and then looked back at Ron. Not a chance, they said in union. Aw, man, Ron said, crossing his arms as they leave the camp. Natural History Museum, New York. It was late midnight at the museum. There were security cameras moving back and forth, watching all the buildings surrounding in the inside. In the control room, the guard was fast asleep while sitting up in front of the monitors. The Egyptian exhibit was brightened by the moonlight from the building's skylight. Heading to the museum front gates were 5 figures dressed as black ninja. These ninja wore black kimono jackets with black pants. They also had their hoods over their heads with black face masks that covered most of their face besides their eyes. Each one of them also had a katana carried on their backs. The ninja reached in their pockets and took out grappling hook guns, which they used to pull themselves up onto the ceiling. Once they made it up, one of them took out a glass cutter to cut a large hole in the ceiling. He lowered himself down slowly with a rope cable. He then tugged the rope, signaling the others, and 3 more of the ninja came down. The first one who came pressed the button on his earpiece radio to talk to the other one up on the ceiling. We're in. Are all the security systems down yet? He asked. Just a second. The other ninja said as he was typing on a laptop he brought. The screen showed him that it was complete. The security sensor beams protecting the Egyptian exhibits then shut down. Okay, now it's down. They ninja smashed some of the displays and stole some of the exhibit's gold and jewel display in the Egyptian. They also stole the priceless vase collection from the Egyptian display and the Chinese dynasty display as well. Once they were finished, they retreated back the ceiling, came back to the ground and get in a black truck that was hiding in the shadows. The truck then drove off with the ninjas and all the jewels and artifacts they stole. Middleton High School. It was around noontime at Middleton High, and Kim, Ron, and Naruto were all enjoying their lunchtime. This was a lunch period that they and the whole student body could enjoy because the cafeteria was not serving mystery meat today. While Kim and Ron were enjoying today's cheese pizza, the former noticed that Naruto wasn't eating. She noticed Naruto was having a big goofy smile and the slight blush on his face as he was looking at something. To try to get his attention, she tapped his shoulder, but to no avail. Naruto, are you okay? Hello, Earth to Naruto? Kim asked while waving her hand in front of his eyes. He was still hadn't noticed. Kim then looked over at what Naruto's looking at and smirked. She sees a girl sitting by a table by herself reading a novel book while she enjoys her lunch. This girl is Hinata Hyuga, and is probably the most beautiful girl Naruto has ever seen. Currently wearing a black skirt, lavender short-sleeve top, a white sweatshirt with purple linings unzipped, and black boots. Kim has seen and met Hinata before. From what she knows about the girl, Hinata came to Middleton during their freshman year from Japan. She has gotten to know the girl a bit, and she learned that Hinata is the shyest person she ever met. Hinata doesn't have much confidence in herself and tends to doubt her abilities even when probably because she still feels like she's new in America. But Hinata still has some really good qualities as well. Hinata is probably the dream girl for every boy in the whole school to have. Hinata is very beautiful. Despite being a freshman, she has a very mature womanly body. Her pale skin and long dark black hair blends perfectly well with that beautiful face of hers. She also has a pair of big beautiful blue eyes that look like the clearest sky. She is also very intelligent, probably the one of the most smartest girls in the whole school. She is also a very athletic girl and was captain of school's volleyball team. She also comes from a very rich and wealthy family. Her family owns a big industry in Japan and around the world. As for personality, Hinata is one of the sweetest girls Kim has ever met. She is very kind, polite, and gentle, hardly gets angry with anyone, and always put the needs of others first than her own. Kim feels a bit jealous about the good qualities Hinata has. With beauty and reputation like hers, she would make Bonnie and the whole cheer squad jealous. Kim does think that Hinata is a really good person and a true friend. She can't really blame Naruto having a crush on her. Ron then looked over at Naruto's love-struck face, and raised an eyebrow in confusion. He then turned to Kim. "What's up with Naruto, KP?" Kim grew a devious smile on her face. "Hint, Ron," Kim said while pointing at Hinata. Ron was still puzzled. "Hinata Hyuga?" Ron asked in confusion. "One of the prettiest girls in the whole school," Kim said while she elbowed Naruto's arm. "And Naruto here is crushing on her big time." Naruto listened that time and blushed in embarrassment. Rufus heard the whole thing and came out of Ron's pocket and onto the table. "Ah," the naked mole rat said. "What?" Naruto exclaimed while still blushing. "Come on, Naruto," Kim said while having the same smile. "You are so crushing on her." "I am not," Naruto said while looking and crossing his arms. "So are. I saw the way how you were staring at her," Kim said. "Staring? I was not staring," Naruto exclaimed. Naruto then looked to see that Hinata was looking at them, specifically right at him, with a light blush after hearing them. Naruto just smiled at her. In response, she blushed even more and hid her face in her book all embarrassed. She then looked back at Naruto slowly and sheepishly waving at him and smiling at him sweetly. Naruto blushed himself, smiled and waved back. Kim smiled at that little moment. "Ah, see that? She likes you. You should go over and talk to her." Naruto then looked down and looked sheepish. "I don't know, Kim. What if she finds out about the mission we do? I mean, I don't want her to think I'm, weird." Kim then placed her hand on his shoulder. "Naruto, you are weird, but you're also brave, nice, polite and always think of people's feelings. She'll definitely like you for sure." "Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't hurt to ask her out. You helped Kim with her asking Josh Mankey to the dance problem. I think you can handle Hinata Hyuga," Ron said. "Guys, I'm still not sure," Naruto said. "What chance do I have? That's Hinata Hyuga. She's rich, she's brilliant, she's athletic, and overall, she's beautiful. I have to face it. I'm way out of her league. I don't have a chance." Kim frowned on Naruto's lack of confidence, seeing it for the first time. "Come on, since when does Naruto Uzumaki decided not to risk?" she said. "Just go over there and talk to her. If you want to ask her out, you should do it quickly or otherwise someone will beat you to it." They then heard the next bell ring and everyone began getting up for their next classes. As the possible team got up to, Naruto saw that Hinata was walking to the opposite hallway they're heading. Naruto was about to call to her but she was too far for him to call her over. Naruto sighed and headed to his next class with his two friends. After class was over they all head to Kim's locker to check on Wade for any more missions they have to do. Before they signed on with Wade, Naruto saw Hinata again at her locker, which was not too far from where Kim's locker is. She was putting her stuff away quietly and not noticing where Naruto, Kim and Ron are. Naruto began staring at her again with more blush on his face. When Kim saw this, she smirked and elbowed Naruto. "What are waiting for? Talk to her." Naruto then took a deep breath and walked right up to Hinata. Hinata turned to her right and sees Naruto-kun, She looked both surprised and very sheepish and was blushing lightly, seeing Naruto in front of her. "Hi, Hinata. How are you doing?" Naruto said, acting casually. "Oh, Naruto-kun. Hello." Hinata said shyly while holding her notebooks close to her chest and smiling. "I am doing fine. How are you doing?" "Oh, I'm doing great," Naruto said while scratching the back of his head. "I saw you and your friends on the news fighting that horrible man Dr. Draken a few days ago," Hinata said. "You mean when he tried to turn the space shuttle into a robot?" Naruto said. Hinata nodded. "Like we always say, it was no big. And that is what we told the directors of NASA. What you did was very brave," Hinata said while smiling sweetly. Naruto blushed and smiled back at her. Naruto's smiling face always got her nervous and she felt herself trembling. "Oh, it was no problem at all, Hinata. All in a day's work," Naruto said while scratching the back of his head. He then noticed Hinata's arms shaking a little. "Hinata, are you okay? You're shaking." Hinata backed away a bit while having a nervous smile on her face. "Oh, why yes, I am fine, and Naruto-kun," she said in a very nervous tone. "I need to get going to my next class. So, bye." She then ran off across the hallway. Naruto was about to say something from her but was already too far away. Naruto just sighed in defeat. He then walked over to his two friends with smiles on their faces. "So, how did it got?" Kim asked. "Did you ask her out yet?" Ron asked out loud. Kim elbowed in the ribs. "To answer your questions, I managed to make some small talk with her, and second, no, I chickened out again," Naruto said. Kim sighed. "Naruto, for someone who told me that I should make a move on the person I like, you sure aren't doing a good job following your own advice." "Easier said than done, KP," Naruto said while having his arms crossed. "Do you have any idea how hard it is trying to keep a conversation with someone as beautiful and popular as Hinata? If you ask me, Naruto, I say she is having a more hard time doing it than you are," Kim said. "How did you figure?" Ron said. "Ron, she is like the most shyest person I ever met," Kim said. "She was practically shaking when Naruto was talking to her and that proves my point." She then turned to Naruto with a smirk on her face. "She so likes you." "I still don't know, Kim," Naruto said nervously. Kim just sighed. She did not like Naruto's new doubtful personality. They then heard a beep from Kim's communicator. They went to Kim's locker. Kim turned on the computer screen in her locker and Wade appeared on the screen. "What's the sitch, Wade?" Kim asked. "Well, out of all the things we have on our list, one has shown to be national emergency," Wade said. This got the team interested. "What is it?" Naruto asked. "There was an emergency at the Natural History Museum in New York," Wade said. "The museum's displays of artifacts and jewels from the Egyptian and Chinese exhibit were stolen last night." "Did the security cameras catch a visual of the thieves who broke in?" Kim asked. "They did, but they never found out who they were," Wade said. Then began typing on his computer. This was what the cameras caught on video. They then saw the video of the incident. They see the security sensors down and then three men wearing black came down and began stealing exhibits. "Hold on, Wade," Naruto said. "Are we seeing a video footage of ninjas robbing a national museum?" "It appears so. They also sent a ransom exchange to return the exhibits to owners of the museum by tomorrow night, but they have no idea who these ninja are and who they work for," Wade explained. "Then let's pay a visit to the museum to find out more about this ninja problem they're having," Kim said. Ron groaned. "Oh, even on a mission I always hate going to a boring old museum," Ron complained. Naruto got his devious smirk again. "Fine, don't come, might as well stay here and not check out the Natural History Museum's famous gift shop," Naruto said. This beamed up Ron. "Well, what are we waiting for? Let's get to that museum," Ron said. Kim placed her hand on Ron's shoulder, stopping him. "After class, Ron," Kim said. "Oh, man," Ron said. Kim then turned to Naruto with a smirk of her own. "Glad to see the Naruto we know and love is back in town." "Don't you have a bio class to get to?" Naruto quipped back. Natural History Museum Kim, Naruto, and Ron managed to take a plane ride to New York City. They finally managed to make it to the museum and around were police cars with paparazzi and reporters asking questions and taking pictures. The cops managed to let Team Possible in because of their reputation to the world. They entered the museum and saw some cops talking to a man with a brown suit while taking notes. They then walked up to them during the conversation. "That's what they told me," the museum head said. "Unless I complete the ransom, we'll never get my artifacts back." "Don't you worry, the police will handle it," the officer said. "We will confront those crooks during the ransom so there will be no exchange." "No. The email said no cops or otherwise the deal will be off, and they will keep the artifacts. For all I know, once that happens they will sell what they sold to the highest bidder. Excuse me, Kim asked. We heard about the incident, hope we weren't interrupting anything. Ah, the famous Kim Possible and her team. The officer said while shaking her hand. I am Lieutenant Gordon, and this is the owner of the Natural History Museum, Professor Matthew Dukes. I have heard about you as well, Ms. Possible. Professor Dukes said while shaking her hand next. You came at a very good time to help for our little incident. What exactly happened? Naruto asked. Professor Dukes showed them the videotape of ninjas robbing the museum of their jewels and priceless vases and urns. They couldn't tell who those guys were because the masks they wore cover up their entire face. There were eye lenses on their masks allowing them to see. On their shoulders and backs were the logos for their group. It was a four-bladed Fuma shuriken colored blood red. Strapped to their backs were katana swords. Any idea who those guys are, Professor Dukes? Kim asked the professor. No, all we do know is that they are some big crime syndicate and they requested a ransom exchange to get the jewels and artifacts back, the professor explained. What do these guys want in exchange? Ron asked. In exchange in getting the priceless exhibits back, they want $1 billion in return, Officer Gordon said. Cha-ching, Ron said. He turned Kim and Naruto glaring him. I mean, wow, that is a lot of zeros. Yes, and the museum cannot afford to lose that much money to criminals, the professor said. But I might not have a choice, either way the museum will lose a humongous amount of fundings because of this incident. Maybe not, when is the ransom going to happen? Kim asked. By tomorrow. Why? During the exchange we will help you guys get the museum's exhibits back from those guys so the museum won't lose anything, Kim explained. Sounds like a splendid idea. The professor said. This shall save the museum greatly. But are sure about this though, these people sound very dangerous. Nothing we can't handle. Naruto said all cocky. My men and I will be sure to watch the entire area outside of the exchange. Gordon said. No way a couple of sneaky ninjas are going to get away from the New York City police. Be sure to keep us in touch, Kim said before she and her friends began leaving. Kim then reached out her communicator and decides to call Wade about their mysterious ninjas. Wade, did you get that video on those ninjas robbing the museum? Kim asked. Yeah, I'll see if I can find something on these guys, Wade said. And be careful, these guys sound dangerous. They managed to get past a security system as tight as the museum's and they are asking for a very big ransom exchange. We'll be careful. Later, Wade, Kim said before she signed off the communicator. She turned to her two friends. All right, let's get home, we got school in the morning. They nodded and followed Kim. Up on top of a building near them, hiding in the shadows of the moonlight were 5 of the same ninja on the video from the museum. They drew out their swords, jumped out of the shadows, and landed right to the ground surrounding Team Possible while surprising them. Yikes! Ron exclaimed. Whoa, Naruto said. There really are ninjas in New York. Kim then changed from a surprised look to a fearless look on her face. All right, I don't know who you guys are, but you've picked the wrong night to mess with us, Kim said. Well, Ms. Possible, you and your friends picked a wrong time to poke your meddling noses where they don't belong, one of the ninjas said. They then charged at them with their swords. They decided to separate the team from each other to take them down better by preventing their teamwork. 2 take on Kim. 2 take on Naruto, while 1 takes on Ron. Kim was surrounded on both sides by the ninjas who began circling her. One of them charged in at her with his sword but she was agile enough to dodge the slashes. The other one was heading her but she back-flipped over him and kicked right behind him, causing him to bump into his teammate. This also caused them to drop their swords. When they turned to face her, Kim jumped high and did a flipping flying kick at them. While they were down, Kim flipped her hair back, and they say cheerleading isn't a real sport, she said all cocky. Naruto had ninjas surrounding him as well with their swords drawn out. He reached in pocket for his extending staff and readied it for battle. The ninjas began clashing with Naruto. One of them tried slashes him horizontally, but Naruto slid on his knees and bent his back backwards to dodge the attack. Then he used his staff to sweep the ninja off his feet and onto the ground. The other one tried to attack next but with a downward slash, but Naruto blocked with his staff but was being pushed to his knees. Then Naruto then did a sweep kick on him while the ninja wasn't looking. Ron only had 1 ninja to deal with, and he was trying to back away from him slowly. Look, ninja dude, can't we just talk about this without sword and all? The ninja gave him no answer and just tried to attack him with his sword, but Ron was dodging them while being back into a wall. The ninja then grabbed him by the shirt and lifted him high one-handed while having his sword ready on the other. Wow, okay, that is one sharp sword, Ron said nervously while staring at the blade. Then he looked down in his pocket. Rufus, in case you were done napping, I could use a little help here. Rufus came out of Ron's pocket and let out a big yawn. He looked up to see Ron in trouble. He gasped, climbed up to the ninja's shoulder and face and bit down on his nose. The ninja flinched and let go of Ron so he can get Rufus off his face. Rufus jumped off of his face. Then the ninja opened his eyes and sees Ron punching him in the face, knocking him out. Wow, Ron said while looking at his face. The Ron knows how to bring the hurt. Then his pants fell down, again. Ron groaned. And apparently should remind himself to bring a belt. Meanwhile with Kim and Naruto, they were still fighting the other 4 ninja and proved themselves to formidable foes. Not only they ninjas were exceptionally skilled, they have them outnumbered by double the numbers. Kim and Naruto went in to attack 2 of them that were facing towards Kim, but they jumped high above them and regrouped with the other 2 behind them. The ninja noticed the ninja unconscious. So one of them ran up to Ron and gave him a flying kick, which caused the sidekick to tumble on the ground. When Ron was done, there was a car speeding right towards him. Ron! Kim cried out. She then activated her rocket skates and speed towards Ron and picked him up before the truck hit him. She then set Ron gently on his feet. Thanks, KP. Ron said. Kim nodded. On to Naruto, he was fighting 3 of the ninja this time. He was busy clashing with one of them with his staff. He blocked the ninja's strike, but what he couldn't stop was a double punch in the gut from the other 2 after the other one backed away from him. Naruto was knocked to the ground as the ninjas gathered back together while one of them was carrying their unconscious comrade by their shoulders. Naruto slowly got back and was glaring at them. Who are you people? Naruto asked. That's for us to know, and for you to never find out. One of the ninjas said. And if you kids know what's good for you, you stay out of our way. He then tossed a smoke bomb to the ground and they disappeared after it cleared. Kim and Ron walked up to Naruto after it happened. Where are they? Kim asked. Gone. Naruto replied. Who do you think were those guys? Ron asked. I don't know, but we are going to find out, Kim said. Middleton High School. It was after class time right now at the school, and Kim was putting some of her books in her locker. She then heard a voice calling her. She turned to see Ron and Naruto coming her way. Hey, KP. Ron said. Hey guys, she replied. Any word from Wade yet? Naruto asked. Not yet. She then looked over and sees Hinata putting some of her books away in her locker. She smirked and looked back to Naruto. What about you, Naruto? She asked. Don't you have another mission to take care of? Naruto glared at her. You're enjoying this, aren't you? Naruto proclaimed. Not as much as I am. An unknown voice said. They turned to see it was Bonnie having a big smirk on her face. What do you want now, Bonnie? Kim asked dryly. Just want to see Mr. Hotshot Uzumaki crash and burn yet again for asking Hyuga out, Bonnie said. Don't you have something better to do? Like getting an attitude adjustment? Naruto said in a similar dry tone. He was beginning to get annoyed with Bonnie. No, I'm pretty sure I want to see you strike out with one of the most popular girls in school. Bonnie said while still looking smug. To be honest, I don't know what you see in her, but might as well face it, there is no way you can get Hinata Hyuga. She's way out of your league. In fact, she out of anyone's league. I think that whole shy routine is just an act just to hide her true selfish self. That whole goody-goody act and nice girl routine is just way for her to gain attention. Might as well face, she's probably the most shallow person on like the whole planet. Unknown to them, Hinata was listening to them when they were mentioning her. She heard every word they were saying. She was shocked that Naruto likes her. In fact, she was very happy to hear that part. But she also heard all the horrible things Bonnie said about her being selfish and only pretending to a nice girl. She had visible tears in her eyes and was about to cry. She turned away and was going to leave the hallway until she heard Naruto's voice. You're wrong, Bonnie. Naruto said after he stepped forward. Hinata is not like that. Sure, she's shy and doesn't have confidence in herself. But she is a wonderful person. She's smart, she's pretty, and is one of the nicest girls I ever met. She is a very dependable person and she cares about other people's needs before her own. That is why everyone in the school likes her. It's why I like her. Bonnie frowned. But Kim and Ron both smiled after hearing what Naruto said about Hinata, and they definitely can tell that Naruto likes her. Hinata heard everything that Naruto said about her. She was even more shocked than she was before and was blushing deeply. Though she couldn't be happier right now and was about to cry tears of joy instead of sadness. TCH, whatever, you're both losers. Bonnie said. You two deserve each other. Then she turned and left. Kim and Ron walked up to Naruto and the former placed her hand on his shoulder. Way to go, Naruto. Kim said. Thanks, he replied. They turned back to Kim's locker until they saw Hinata standing there and looking at Naruto with a large blush on her face and few tears in her eyes. Naruto was about to say something to her, but before he did, Hinata turned away and left quickly, feeling embarrassed. "Hinata, wait." Naruto called out to her, but she was already far enough for her not to hear them. Naruto just sighed in defeat yet again, seeing how he missed another chance to properly talk with her. He felt a something on his shoulder. He looked and at Kim comforting him again. "It's okay, Naruto. You'll talk to her when she feels ready to," Kim said. "You know how shy she gets, just give her time." Naruto nodded. "I hear what you were saying, KP. Thanks." Then they heard a beep from Kim Possible. Kim took out. "What's up, Wade? Meet me by your locker," Wade said. They then came over to Kim's locker and Wade came on the screen on the computer monitor. "I checked out the security footage you sent me from the museum," Wade said. "And?" Kim asked. "It was not easy, but I figured out who we are up against," Wade said. He clicked one button on his keyboard and it showed a visual of a blood-red shuriken. This logo is the symbol for a powerful crime syndicate called the Shadow Clan. "The Shadow Clan?" Naruto asked. "Yeah, they are a secret order of ninjas made up of assassins, mercenaries, and criminals all in one organized group. They're very well known in the criminal underworld and feared to the entire world," Wade explained. "Dude, that's who we are up against. I am officially freaked," Ron said. "Relax, Ron, nothing we can't handle," Kim said confidentially. "I wouldn't take this so lightly, Kim. I've read a lot of reports about these guys and they have a very dangerous reputation to the whole world. Taking these guys on is much bigger than we ever faced," Wade warned her. Kim then changed to serious mode. "You're right. Wade, do you know who is in charge of these guys?" Kim asked. "Yeah, check it out," Wade said as he began typing some more. He then showed a picture of a man who like he is in his 30s with long black hair with a part of his bangs covering his right eye. "Madara Uchiha, the head of the Shadow Clan, and he's worldly renowned as the most dangerous criminal mastermind in the world." "Wait, you mean we are facing the most dangerous man alive?" Naruto said, a little freaked out. "Yeah, Madara is very well known to the entire world. He is wanted in 25 countries, and is the most wanted criminal in Japan's most wanted and feared through all of Asia," Wade said. "Madara's Shadow Clan has been known to steal all kinds of advanced technology, rare gems and jewels, and rare artifacts." "And the robbery at the museum?" Kim asked. "I found that out. It turns out it is part of the Shadow Clan's initiation. In order to become a top agent of the clan, you must pull off a successful heist," Wade said. "When the clan recruits new members, they only want the best on their side." "Sounds to me these guys know who to pick. The ones we fought were pretty tough," Kim said. "Hard to believe they were only just lackeys." "Criminal lackeys, rookies or not, we still can't let them take priceless museum property and let them get paid for it," Naruto said. "We have to find them before the payoff is made." "And that is what we are going to do," Kim said. "After the payoff for the $2 billion, we are going to take back the money right under them so the museum won't lose anything." "That just might work, but be careful, these guys aren't going to be easy to beat," Wade said. "We'll worry about that," Naruto said confidentially. New York, it was around 8:30 p.m. and Professor Dukes along with two men in black suits were waiting patiently for the Shadow Clan ninjas to arrive with the artifacts they stole. Their meeting place was a street uptown while there were no cars roaming around and no witnesses to see the deal happening. Professor Dukes decided not to involve the police in the ransom. He did not want to take the risk of an all-out fight happening. Team Possible is hiding behind an ally to waiting for a chance to get the jump on those Shadow Clan ninjas that got away the other day. Then a truck came in and out of it were the ninjas. There were 5 of them. One of them was in the center and had twin katana blades with him. Kim assumes that one must be the leader of the operation. Dr. Dukes walked up to the leader ninja. "Where are my exhibits?" he asked. "Not to worry, old man, they're in the truck, safe and secured," the ninja said. "Now where is the money?" Professor Dukes nodded. He turned to one of his bodyguard and nodded to him. In response, he went into the car and took out a silver case and gave it to lead ninja. The ninja opened it and saw all the money there. He closed it and turned back to the museum owner. "Pleasure doing business with you, Professor," the lead ninja said. "Oh yeah, you can keep the truck if you want." He and the other ninjas took out their grappling hook guns, shot them up to a building and took off. Team Possible began following the ninjas to wherever they're heading. Their stop was an old abandoned warehouse. They watched as the ninja entered the building with case full of money. "This is their hideout," Ron said. "Not very bad guy-ish or ninja-ish." "It's probably temporary, Ron," Kim said. "Anyways, we need to get that suitcase back before they leave. Something tells me they're not going to stay in that old warehouse for long." Then what are we waiting for? Naruto said. They managed to sneak into the warehouse without being spotted by coming through the skylight and began crawling on the beams of the building. They say the ninja opened the case and saw all the money in there, and were all bragging how their plan was success. We managed to pull it off, one of them said. Madara will definitely let us in now. Yeah. The other three said. However, they were silenced by the lead ninja with twin katana. Don't celebrate too soon, you need to bring the money to Madara before you become a member, he said. Remember, we only choose the most worthy to be a member of our group. Alright, Taka, we get it, one of the ninjas said. The lead ninja known as Taka looked up then back at the others. Now then, before we head back to headquarters, he reached something in pouch he carried on the back of his waist and took out two small black balls. Let's get rid of our little pest problem first. Team Possible eyes widened when their cover was blown and Taka threw the black sphere at them. They got out of the way, good thing they did too. When they hit the beams they exploded. Kim and Naruto landed on the ground feet first with grace. Ron however landed on his butt and was rubbing after he got back up. 5 of the ninja drew out their swords and charged at Team Possible while Taka just stood there observing the fight. Naruto and Kim proceeded to take on the ninjas. Naruto took out his staff while Kim decided to take them one unarmed. There were 5 of them yet again like last night, 2 ninja against Naruto, another 2 against Kim, while one faces Ron. One of the ninja taking on Kim charged at her head to strike her with his sword, but she managed to avoid his strikes. The ninja also tried to kick her and sweep her feet as well. Kim manages to avoid his attack but is having difficulty to attack back. The ninja was fast and was not give her a moment rest. She knew she couldn't keep up the dodging for long, so she kicked the ninja's hand and knocked the sword out his hands. The ninja back flipped away from her while the other ninja charged at her next with his blade. Kim picked up the sword she knocked away from the other and began clashing with him with the swords. The ninja was pushing her to her knees. It was clear he had much stronger in physical strength than she is. The other ninja who backed away ran around Kim until he got behind her, took out a pair of tonfas and charged at her. Kim heard him coming and had to react fast. She leaned back and kicked the ninja off of her over her and he landed on his comrade. Kim then got back up on her feet, flipped her hair back looking confident. On Naruto's end, he was taking on 2 ninjas himself. One of the ninjas took out his sword and began clashing with Naruto's staff. Both of them showed great skill as they attacked and were at an even match. The ninja tried to do the same tactic as the other ninjas did to Kim. The one Naruto was clashing with also tried kicks and sweeping the feet to catch him off guard, but Naruto was able to evade them, although he couldn't keep it up for long. During their clashing, Naruto managed to kick him away, and saw the other ninja threw kunai knives from behind, but Naruto twirled his staff and knocked them away. The ninja then jumped up high and tried to do a jump kick at Naruto, but he managed to block it with his staff. The ninja then took out 2 Tonto blades and began clashing with Naruto. The other ninja then got back on his feet, grabbed his sword and began aiding his comrade. During the clashing they managed to knock the staff away and one of them kicked Naruto in the gut. Naruto was knocked back a bit, recovered, tapped his 2 heels on the ground which activated the skates on his shoes. He then began circling around the ninjas with his skates, confusing them with his speed. The one with twin Tonto blades tried to attack him, but Naruto dodged them. He then began circling around that ninja while giving him some punches and kicks when he least suspects it. Naruto then came in front of him and knocked him out with an uppercut in the chin. The other ninja tried to attack but Naruto managed to avoid the attack and backed away from him. He then charged straight at him, gaining speed, and gave him a flying kick, knocking him out. Naruto then landed on the ground with grace while having a cocky grin on his face. Ron was taking on his opponent, dodging the attacks from his sword, in a scared coward little way. Ron was able to get away from his striking range, but then the ninja put away his sword and took out a kusarigama and began twirling the chain. He then threw the chain at Ron and wrapped it around him. Ron tried to break free but couldn't. The ninja then began reeling him toward him slowly as Ron tried to resist. Rufus, hope you're enjoying your nap. I could use a hand here and that means your little naked ones, Ron said to Rufus. Rufus got out of his pocket and yawned, then gasped to see Ron in trouble. He then climbed on the chain and began running on it towards the ninja. When he made it to him, Rufus bit the ninja's nose and the latter flinched in pain. He let go of the chain, causing to lose its grip on Ron. As the ninja was trying to get Rufus off his face, the naked mole rat jumped off and Ron gave the ninja flying kick when he had his guard down, knocking him out. Booyah! Ron yelled out as he and Naruto high-fived. Too early to celebrate just yet, Taka says as he steps up. Let's see you 3 rats can match up to my strength. Ron then walked up to him confidently. Dude, we just took out your lackeys without breaking a sweat. What makes you so different than? Before Ron got to finish, Taka lifted him up with one hand and threw him to a crate. Because unlike them, I am better, Taka says as he got into fighting position. Kim and Naruto got ready too. This is not an opponent they can afford to underestimate. Naruto began his attack first with a jump kick, but Taka caught it and threw him aside. Kim then came in next and did backflip to a diving axe kick, but Taka jumped back to avoid the attack, then backflipped over Naruto so he couldn't hit him from behind. Now it was Taka's turn to attack next. His first target was Naruto. He came in at Naruto with a barrage of attack while Naruto tries to block and counterattack. Taka attacks with both punches and kicks at a fast pace, while Naruto was blocking them at the same rate of speed while trying to land some blows of his own on Taka, but the ninja manages to block and dodge his attacks too. Taka back-flipped away and threw a bolus at Naruto, tangling him up and unable to move his arms and legs. Kim decided to fight Taka next. First she did some front flips around him to confuse him, then from his left side she jumped high and was about to give him a diving flying kick. He saw her coming after he saw her shadow and managed to jump out of the way. Kim came at him again, but he manages to block every strike she can give him, and then he gave her a strong kick that knocked her back several feet. You are defeated, surrender now, and maybe, just maybe I'll spare your lives, Taka said. Kim then got back up on her feet with a smug smile on her face. You do realize you're in a wrong position to make demands? You are the one who just lost, Kim said. Taka just chuckled a bit. Me? Defeated? Now you are just talking nonsense, Taka said. Ron then walked right next to where Kim is standing holding the suitcase full of money. Not when your case full of cash was snatched away from while you were fighting the best crime fighting team in the world. Huh? Ron said while holding the case in his arms. Taka looked shocked behind his mask. Naruto then got back on his feet and untied himself. That's not all, Naruto said as he walked over to his friends while Kim was holding up her communicator. We also had our friend Wade radio a signal to the police to tell them where you and your buddies are hiding out. To prove it, they heard police sirens and saw red lights coming outside of the warehouse. Taka backed away a bit from them. HMPH, not bad team possible, not bad, Taka said while holding a smoke bomb behind his back. But, know this is far from over. He threw the smoke on the ground hard and it released a cloud of smoke. When it cleared, Taka was already gone, leaving his team and the suitcase full of cash behind. He's gone, Naruto said. He got away. Ron said. Well, at least he didn't get the money, that's good. All's well that ends well, right? Kim wasn't so sure, however. I don't know, Ron. Something tells me we haven't seen the last of the Shadow Clan, Kim said. Middleton High School, gymnasium. After Taka got away, Team Possible gave the ransom money back to Professor Dukes, saving the museum from losing a large quantity of the museum's fundings. The ninja that were left behind were turned over to the police for questioning. Team Possible may have won against the Shadow Clan last night, but they'll be back and they just made a powerful enemy on that day. Meanwhile, back at Middleton, there was a basketball game going on and Naruto was part of the team. Kim and her cheer squad were there cheering the game with Ron in his Middleton Mad Dog mascot costume. Hinata was also there taking pictures. She was part of the school's yearbook committee. While taking photos, she couldn't help but look at Naruto while he was playing. The game is nearly over, and Middleton was 1 point ahead of the other team while there is only 10 seconds left on the clock. The Middleton team has the ball right now and they were heading towards the opposing team's hoop. Brick Flag, Bonnie's boyfriend, had the ball right now but was surrounded by the other players. Naruto signaled to Brick that he was open and the former tossed the ball over to the latter. Naruto dribbled the ball towards the hoop, but one of the opposing team's players was heading straight towards him to steal the ball. Naruto had to take a chance and shoot the ball while he was on the three-point line just before the opposing player came in and knocked Naruto down. Hinata gasped when Naruto fell down and got hurt. Then she saw the ball heading towards the hoop while the clock only had 3 seconds. At the last second the ball went right in and Middleton won the game. The crowd, the cheer squad, and mascot cheered for their win during their home game. Hinata was especially happy and proud. After some congratulations from his teammates on the school team, his best friends then came over to him. Ron gave him a high five while Kim gave him a congratulations hug while he hugged back. Way to go, Naruto, you did it, Kim said, all elated. Thanks, it was no big, Naruto said, feeling flattered after they separate. Kim then gave him a playful smirk. What did I say about stealing my lines? She said. Naruto grew a similar smirk on his face. Like that hasn't stopped me before, Naruto replied. Then he heard a voice behind him. Naruto-kun? Said boy turned to see Hinata behind him looking sheepish and nervous. Hinata, hey, is there something I can help you with? Naruto asked. Why yes. Naruto-kun, I was wondering if we could talk outside in private? Hinata said nervously. Naruto was surprised by her question. If it's alright with you, I just want to ask you some questions in private. It's something I have been thinking about. Can you meet me by the parking lot? Naruto smiled and gave her his reply. Sure thing. Just get changed, and I'll meet you out there. Hinata nodded and headed towards the door. After several minutes, Naruto came outside and saw Hinata there waiting for him. When she saw him, she blushed, and walked right up to him. Unknown to them, both Kim and Ron were watching what was happening. Kim mostly couldn't resist to see what was going to happen. Ron merely just wanted come. What is it you want to talk about? Naruto asked. Hinata felt and sounded a little nervous. Naruto can clearly tell himself. Well, Naruto-kun, I first want to say congratulations at the game. You were just amazing out there. Hinata said with a very sweet smile. Naruto blushed, feeling both flattered and embarrassed. Oh come on, Hinata, it was nothing really. Naruto said while looking away a bit. Sometime he doesn't get it, but every time Hinata smiles at him like that it always gets nervous while it also makes feel really happy. To him, Hinata looks her best when she's smiling. What else did you want to talk about, Hinata? Hinata looks away a bit looking nervous while blushing deep. Well, I just want to know. Naruto looked confused. Know what? That stuff you said to Bonnie, the stuff you said about me, is it all true? Hinata asked with pleading eyes hoping what his answer. Naruto was very surprised. Wait, Hinata, you mean heard what I said yesterday? Naruto asked. Hinata nodded. Yes, I know it was wrong for me to eavesdrop, but I just needed to hear what you said and I just want to know, Hinata said clearly before she stopped and started looking nervous while looking straight at him with her big blue eyes. Did you really mean what you said about me? Do you really like me? She asked with that deep blush of hers still present on her face. Now it was Naruto's turn to deeply blush and look nervous. Not only Naruto couldn't believe Hinata heard him when he said all the good things about her and how he liked her, she now asked him that if he really does like her. Naruto just took a deep breath, exhaled, and looked right at Hinata with a big warm smile of his own. It is true, Hinata, all of it. I think you are an amazing person, everything about you makes me smile, and I'm lucky I am talking to someone like you right now. You're smart, you're nice, you're cool, you're pretty and I think you're the most incredible girl I ever met. So the answer is yes, I do like you. Kim and Ron, who just watched what happened, could not believe what just happened. Naruto just confessed to Hinata that he likes her. They were really proud of him. The one who was most proud of him was Kim. She knew Naruto was a brave person. It must have took real courage to confess like what he just did. Hinata herself was very surprised by this sudden confession. Her blush was so deep, it almost looked like it began glowing. She was very silent and she can feel herself trembling, and tears began coming down her face like she was about to cry. Naruto-kun, Hinata said nervously. Naruto looked at her and noticed some tears coming down her face. Hinata, are you okay? Naruto said worryingly. Then suddenly, Hinata shot her head back up to Naruto, and actually tackled him into a big hug. Thanks to years of training his reflexes saved him from toppling over. Hinata, in the meantime, had her arms wrapped around his torso in a vice-like hug while weeping in his chest. This surprised Kim and Ron. Kim especially was blushing when she saw this. She knew Hinata for a while, and she never seen her do something like this without any hesitation. Wow, Hinata, I didn't that you cared this much, Naruto said while rubbing the back of his head. Hinata realized what she was doing, and quickly got out of the hug and wiped away her tears while blushing deep. I'm sorry, Naruto-kun, Hinata said nervously while bowing her head. She hasn't been happier in her life. Naruto just confessed that she liked her, but she never thought she would actually throw herself like that at him. This got her very embarrassed. Don't apologize, Hinata, really, he said, then looked right at her with a warm smile. He thought, well, Naruto, it's now or never. Say, Hinata. Yes. I know this shortcut to the ice cream parlor, care to join me? Naruto while holding his arm out for her. This got her to blush again. Why you mean, like Hinata saying nervously while blushing deep. A date. Naruto finished for her. Hinata then wiped away the rest of her tears, linked his arm with hers, and looked at him with a warm and loving smile. Naruto-kun, I would be delighted, she said. Great, let's go. Naruto said while he and Hinata walked while the girl was still holding the boy's arm and leaning her head on his shoulder. Kim, in the meantime, watched the whole thing and had a big happy smile on her face. She was really happy for both Naruto and Hinata. She can tell they will be great together, just like how she predicted. Ah. Ron, did you see all that? Kim said. When she got no answer, she saw Ron fast asleep. Ron? I'm up. I'm up, Ron said after he shot his eyes wide open in a little freak. Kim just rolled her eyes at him, then looked back at Naruto and Hinata. She can see Naruto and Hinata getting on Naruto's motorcycle and were riding along the road while Hinata was laying her against Naruto's back. Both of them were smiling. Kim herself couldn't help but smile as well for them. Way to go, Naruto, way to go, Kim mentally said. The end. Thanks for watching. Also remember to subscribe and like this video. See you in the next video.